And we are back.
We are back, Bumble Bitches.
Episode 221, Season 2, Episode 21.
Yes.
For those of you who are new here, my name is Chris.
And I am Peach.
And we are the hosts of the To Be Better podcast. We read emails sent in by listeners, viewers like you, if you're watching on YouTube. We give unbiased opinions on life advice that people ask for, whether it be relationship, parenting, business, whatever people ask. A lot of it is communication-based. We try to help people out with a relationship. So if you are tuning in for the very first time or somebody sent this to you, I suggest you watch to the end because there's normally a lot of debauchery and stupidity that happens along the way. But we believe we're giving you sound advice, and we hope you get value from what we're putting out. In the event that you like what you see, share the content. It's the best way to continue to help us grow the channel and the podcast for that matter, and to continue doing what we do. How's that for an intro?
That was good. Was that all just on the fly?
Yes.
Fantastic job. I can tell you're getting good at improvising.
This is going to drop at the end of May. So you still have time, if you would like to go to Thailand with us.
Yes.
To go to our website, tobebetter.co, and click on events. There is a Thailand trip that we're doing in October where we will be doing 7 days in Thailand. We'll be going to Phuket. There will be an elephant sanctuary, Thai massage.
Thai cooking class.
Yep, Thai cooking, the Rawai Market, the Buddhist temple. We will be going to the area where they filmed the beach. But we will be there for 7 days. It is mostly inclusive. You'll be fed most of the time that you're there.
Yes, there's at least one meal provided every single day.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And you can sign up for that through our website. You will still have to pay for flights.
Yes.
Separate from the cost of the trip. But as of the time of this recording, we still have availability for that. It is limited to 24 people. It's been out for 7 days since we released it, and it's already got 7 people signed up. So I'm fairly confident that over the next 3 months, this thing will sell out. So by the time you hear this, if you would like to go to Thailand, I highly recommend clicking on the events page. If you don't have a passport and you can't travel abroad, we will be doing a meet and greet in Las Vegas in June. Mm-hmm. That is also on the events tab on our website, and we will be able to... you just need to sign up. As of right now, it's just a sign up page so that we can email you with details when we have them, because we're still finalizing things. It's April, so we have time for that. The trip is already for sure going to happen. We will be doing something that Saturday, which I believe is the 8th. It might be the 7th. It'll be the 7th or the 8th.
I want to say it was the 7th, you said.
Yeah, I think that's Friday for some reason.
It is a Friday.
Yeah,
I thought you meant Friday.
Yeah, I think Saturday would be a better deal because people who are going to fly in for the weekend...
It makes sense.
Makes sense for them to stay, 2 nights in a hotel, fly in Friday, wake up Saturday, do the meet and greet, sleep Saturday, fly home Sunday kind of thing. So
okay.
I think that for people who are going to be traveling to Vegas, that makes the most amount of sense. We are going to be renting some sort of conference room or peer share type house kind of thing where we can actually have people meet us. And I think that I'm going to limit that to 25 to 30 people.
Okay.
But we're going to sell those tickets. And I believe as of right now, like I said, it's April. I'm looking at like $50 a ticket just to cover the cost of the house that we have to rent to do the meet and greet. I don't want to have to come out of pocket for that. So
are we going to do catering?
No.
Okay.
No. I would have to charge more for that.
Yeah.
The house that I'm looking at for 8 hours is $1,100.
Okay. Wow.
So it's a big fucking house.
I was going to say we can increase the cost of the ticket and I can cook for everybody, but if it's $1,100 for the house, that's wild.
Well, that's why I was doing $50 a piece.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll figure that out. That still has time. So by the time you guys listen to this, go to tobebetter.co, click on the events, and that'll let you see what we've got going on. You can also go to thevoiceofthebroken.com, which will take you to our website.
Oh, look at that.
I bought the domain. I also need to redirect chrisandpeaches.com.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that. I've been trying to buy the domain names for the podcast as I think of them. I own like 30 domains.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they all redirect to?
No, most of them are just parked so that I own them and other people can't buy them.
Okay. That's smart.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that it's got to be when I think about it. I didn't realize how important that was. But when I bought tobebetter.com, I paid like $3,000 for that website. And the reason why that website's not working and we're using tobebetter.co still is because you have to put in www.tobebetter.com to get there. Otherwise, it destroys our emails. Mm-hmm. And I don't know enough about websites to fix that. and I need to just pay somebody to take care of it, and it's just not a concern for me. So, but we own tobebetter.com. Anyways, you have any housekeeping you want to do?
No, not particularly.
You gonna do a cooking video this week for Patreon?
Yes. I don't know, maybe. I might get into the 4 agreements this week because tomorrow we go live. Today our son has a doctor's appointment.
4 agreements would be cool.
I don't want to rush a cooking video the day it has to be posted.
Yeah, I would rather you not do that either.
So I'm probably going to get into the 4 agreements.
4 agreements is easy if you did it day of, because it's super easy to edit short format like that. Cooking videos is time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, check this out. I reached out to this company and asked them to send me some of their products because I'm trying to get them to sponsor us. This is Lucky Fuck Energy. The name just tickles the shit out of me.
Yeah.
The owner of this Bodacious Berry is the one you had yesterday.
It is.
What'd you think of it?
I like it.
I do too.
I really like it. I typically don't like sparkling water because you can taste the carbonation in the water.
Right.
But whatever they're adding into that, I feel like I'm drinking sparkling juice.
The only one that I've had that I don't like so far is the pineapple orange. It's like a citrus blend.
Was it the tropical one?
Yeah, it's got cherry in it, and I don't like cherry when it's mixed with other flavors because it gives me like
medicine vibes.
Yeah, it does. It gives me a really gross aftertaste. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anyways, the owner of that company was in a plane crash that killed 136 people, including his father, and he fucking lived. Hence the lucky fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
It's crazy. There's no sugar in it too, which is nice.
I looked at that can and I looked at all the ingredients because I'm getting to the point where if I can't pronounce it, I'm not putting it in my mouth.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good thing you can pronounce. Sorry, we just had an inappropriate joke, guys. I'm sure you know where that went. Now that I've cut that out.
I enjoy you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad because I'm a giant fucking child.
I'm getting back into a routine of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of neat. I'm segmenting off time. My whole day is scheduled at this point. Like from the point that I wake up to 11 o'clock at night when I'm ready to okay, bedtime because I have to be up at 6. And I'm feeling good again. I'm getting myself out of the funk of the unknown because of waiting on other people's timelines. This is nice.
Got your bath line finished yet?
No, not yet. I'm going to work on boxes today, the last of the shipping. We only have 10 things of product left. So I'm going to get those packaged, get those shipped out. I do have to email 2 people because I miscounted 2 jars. So they can get the same size jar, just a different scent.
You might want to do that soon because there's still stuff on the website.
I know. No, these were already sold.
Oh, okay.
These are unaccounted for. They were mislabeled.
Oh, gotcha.
Miscounted as a different scent. So it's off the website.
Gotcha. We do need to get that done though, because once that's done, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
I know. It's going to get done today.
Tomorrow I have to pick up our new shirts. The Proud Father shirts will be here. Mm-hmm. Proud actually has is that not an anagram? Each letter represents something different. It's on the website. It'll probably be sold out by the time this gets here, so there's no point in even really getting into it. But I have to get those tomorrow. The Ultimate Tier free shirts for Patreon will be getting picked up tomorrow, and we got stickers that I have to pick up tomorrow.
What did you decide on for the shirt?
For the free one, Protect Your Peace.
Protect your peace.
Yeah, I want to do some stickers that are for us to carry around to give to people when they recognize us. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to give away free merch like shirts and shit, but it's hard to guess a size, and I'm not carrying around 6 fucking t-shirts everywhere I go. But I want to carry around stickers or patches or something that we can give people when they recognize us. Is hey, thanks for recognizing us, kind of thing. And I'm also doing my everyday carry bag. So I'm redoing my bug out bag altogether, but I'm revamping my everyday carry bag so that my everyday carry bag could work as a 24 to 48 hour bag, in case I need to get home or whatever. But it'll still work as carry my laptop, carry my journal, carry my my keys, whatever. But
I need to do something like that, but ladylike.
You just need a bag.
What do you mean?
You need you said you wanted to replace that pink backpack you got.
I do.
With something that does not look tactical.
Right.
So if you found a feminine backpack that you liked, we would just need to find your shit to put in there.
I need something that's not so bulky, because that backpack I feel adds another person to me.
Yeah. Well, that backpack is it's the wolf pack bags.
Yeah.
They're very wide. You need to create something that you can carry around every single day, and then get a secondary bag that just keeps a change of clothes and comfortable shoes that you can leave in the Jeep.
Okay, I can get a backpack for that.
Well, I mean, we have like 50 of them, so it would be very easy to throw a change bag in your car. But it's not a bad idea to have that anyways. It's no different than carrying the med kit that's in your car.
Yeah.
So, so we're 10 minutes in. You want to just jump into some emails?
Yep. So this one is titled "Married Since 2019 and Never Had Sex."
What? How? No honey? What?
And we were going to find out.
Is it not functional? How?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, you got my fucking attention.
And this is from a gentleman.
Well, it's going to be one of those days.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those days.
Were you going to say something else?
I was going to talk about my new shoes, but I'm not going to.
Okay. Thanks for taking the time to read this, guys. I will do my best to leave out unnecessary details and keep this concise so as to not waste your time. Our dads were friends before either of us were born. So
what? Oh, our dads were friends. Okay. That just didn't register. I'm like, the what?
Yeah. Our dads were friends before either of us were born, so we have known each other since we were babies. We lost touch for several years, but re-met at a Halloween party when we were either 15 or had just turned 16. I had just given my life to Christ around this time and shared my faith with her. She seemed to have dedicated herself to him as well after that. She was SA'd all throughout her childhood by more than one person, and we both grew up with narcissistic parents. Hers have matured. My mother is still the same.
Whoa, wait. You don't outgrow narcissism.
Right.
You don't just mature.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Maybe it's recognizing what it was is that they were going through a lot. They recognized that their dystopian mess was emanating into reality, acknowledged it, and then was like, okay, I don't like being this way as a parent.
Yeah. I was just pointing out the use of the word narcissist. That's such a fucking blanket statement. That shit bothers me so much. Everyone's a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, to a degree, is a narcissist. And using that as a label to define somebody instead of just calling them selfish or saying that they fucked you up, you're diagnosing them with something.
Right. We decided pretty early in the relationship that we wanted to commit to the relationship and get married one day. That should have said commit to one another.
Mm.
So I started working and trying to get in a position where I can take care of myself and her. Fast forward a bit, my mom was taking me, my siblings, and my wife, girlfriend at the time, to Disney World, and my mom convinced me I should propose there, even though she had been trying to get me to break up with her. So even though I did not feel ready to, I did.
What? How, did they say how old they were? How are you being peer pressured by your mom, bro? Like,
it doesn't say how old they
into
are.
marriage of all things.
Right. That added with the fact that the mom was trying to get him to break up with her. Like, you are too wishy-washy. I'm not taking any advice from you. We then began premarital counseling with a couple from the church that we were going to at the time, and they had us read books such as Love and Respect and the 5 Love Languages, for men only and for women only. We discussed things and did some compatibility tests, and it looked like we were a good match to proceed with the marriage. After being engaged for a few years, a long engagement was not the plan. We got married in 2019. To this day, we have not consummated our marriage. Eventually, I had an emotional affair where I developed feelings for a coworker of mine because I felt so neglected. God prevented me from doing anything stupid, and my wife and I made up. Okay, so now what do we deem as stupid because you cheated on your wife?
Oh, I think they meant physical. God stopped him from doing something physical. I don't think that God did that. I think you did.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Yeah.
Around this time, before we made up, my wife started to act different. She believed different things, and we no longer agreed on those crucial things discussed in counseling. One night, her and my sister got drunk and kissed each other. But as I said before, we made up and devoted ourselves to working on our relationship.
That doesn't sound like working on your relationship. That sounds like physical cheating.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was drunk. Yeah, and you still did the shit. Don't give a fuck if you were drunk or not.
I had been in therapy around this time as well for some other mental health issues I was having and discussed all of this with my therapist, who said that due to my wife's past sexual abuse and the lack of intimacy in our marriage, she needed to see a therapist and us have marriage counseling. It never happened. I love my wife. I would give my life for her. I do not mess with corn. It was an issue in the past, but I didn't want that in my marriage, and I have never actually cheated.
No, you did. If you emotionally cheated, you cheated.
Right.
You may not have physically cheated, but you cheated.
Yeah.
The betrayal is the same, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
The hurt's there,
Yeah.
I would say that an emotional affair is even deeper than a physical one.
It can be. It definitely can be. I think when we say emotional cheating, like we talk about that. I had to move this closer because the mic was right on your face while you were reading, and it makes me uncomfortable. So I have to move this back. So if my audio fucks up and changes, guys, I'm sorry. Because I was trying to keep the audio like even with us.
I'm sorry.
Because when you look down, you get here. Anyways.
Okay, I'll remember to sit back.
It's easier for you to read though. I get it.
Okay.
And now I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, when it comes down to that, the emotional cheating, when we use that term, are you actually cheating on your person in a way? Yes. However, it's not a physical thing. You are doing something that is going to hurt your person if they found out, which is why we use the term emotional cheating. If you start developing a bond with somebody or fall in love with a coworker or whatever the case may be, even if nothing ever comes of it, there is a layer of you just fucked up. Right? Like you're not doing what you need to be doing as a partner. So for him to say, I didn't cheat, you did.
I never actually cheated.
Right. You did though.
Yeah.
You did because you went outside of your marriage for something that your wife should be giving you. Okay. I just think it's important that people recognize that. There's a lot of people out there who have a reason to hide their phones. And if you feel the need to hide your phone and you know what I mean? Like, and you're going through that and you know there's something on there that would hurt your person, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. Even if nothing physical has ever happened, you're still doing your person dirty. People want their cake and eat it too. You can't, you know what I mean? Like,
it's selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amount of people out there who just think, well, they'll never know. They'll never find out. How are they going to find out? You know what I mean? What does it say about your character?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was that person. I get it. And that's why I feel that way, because I understand both sides of it. I understand that, well, I'm never going to get caught. No one will ever know. And then I understand having to deal with the repercussions of the fallout of those kind of things. So like the risk versus reward doesn't weigh.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Back into the email. But despite all of that, my wife hardly ever gives me sexual attention. And when I do get it, it might only be a couple times a month. And the only thing that she is willing to do is a hand job. And even then, there is a toy involved most of the time because she does not like the feel of lube on her hands. We are 99% sure she is autistic and this is a sensory thing. You can be best friends with somebody without being married to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pity me situation where she's taking care of him. It's obviously not because she wants to.
Yeah, like it's just an obligation.
Right. You're my best friend, so I'm help you out kind of thing.
Oh, God.
That's what it sounds like to me. It is.
I got your back, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it's just deteriorating. Sex is an important part to a marriage for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's necessary.
Right.
I wouldn't stay in, I just wouldn't stay in a sexless marriage. I also, because I know who I am, I wouldn't have gotten married without having sex first. I know that goes against God.
Yeah.
But because sex is an important thing, I wouldn't want to have a shitty sex life in a great marriage. That's going to create problems for somebody who holds sex as like a priority. And a priority could be how they fill their intimacy cup. You know, there are people out there who the foreplay of all of that is how they feel the intimacy, right? There are people who feel it during the moment and after the moment when you're fucking laying there dying together. You know, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why people would put themselves in that position. And I know it's hypocritical because of the faith, but that's a really big decision to make to vow to spend the rest of your life with somebody and you don't know them inside and out.
Right.
Yeah. Or outside and in.
We both feel like liking your spouse is hugely important, so it's not like I'm always miserable, but even still, my situation is soul crushing. I crave intimacy with her, but she does not want therapy. She does not want to confront her past trauma, even though she knows the lack of intimacy. Even though she knows the lack of intimacy has caused is killing me.
Well, it's because it's not affecting her, it's affecting you.
Yeah, and she doesn't care.
Right. Right. She may care to an extent, like lip service wise, yeah, I care. But if this is actually affecting your sex life and is affecting you on an emotional level, and she's not willing to do something as simple as talk to a therapist, she truly doesn't care.
Your wife would care.
Yeah.
That's not a wife. I want to stay married and not divorce her, but I also don't want to be stuck in a sexless marriage for the rest of my life.
I could see why.
I really hope that I explained this well enough for you guys to give me some advice. It is a difficult topic to cover in a single email. I keep praying for our marriage, looking at what I could do better on my side, and trying to be patient with her, but I just don't know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to read this.
This is an ultimatum situation. This is one of the few times where an ultimatum is acceptable to me.
I agree.
But you would have to follow through if you decide to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we've been married for fucking 5 years and our marriage has not been consummated yet. We've never had sex. That's important to me. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to be patient with you, and for the last 5 years, you've told me you would do something that you haven't done it yet. So I need you to either follow through, or we may end up having to seek other outside sources of my pleasure, whether that be sexual or we fucking split or whatever the deal is. You're going to have to figure out your own ultimatum in that, because ultimately it's what you're willing to follow through with. But therapy needs to happen for her if you think that's going to be the best route. Maybe she's gay.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, she did kiss your sister.
Yep. Wonder if she takes care of herself.
That's a good question. Because that shows that there's an interest there. It's just not with you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't really have anything for this one. He really already kind of knows the answers of what he needs to do.
Yeah. How to get over asking for money as a stay-at-home mom.
You shouldn't have to ask for money as a stay-at-home mom. You should be on the bank account. This is an easy one. This is a TikTok question.
Yeah.
This is easy. You should be on the bank account. You should have access to all the finances and know what's going on. And if you want to spend a couple $100 or you want to buy a fucking, a new pair of shoes or something, you should be able to text your husband and be like, hey, I see there's $800 in the bank account. Is that money spent for anything, or is that savings money? Oh, that's spending money? Cool. I want a new pair of shoes. It's going to cost me $85. Can I have it?
I just say, hey, can I spend $60 on plants? And it's a yes or no.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to know if the money's there or not. And
yeah.
that comes into the communication aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm not getting ready to swipe a card and you go, that was for the car payment. What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. There's my answer, but let's see what the email says.
Hi there. Huge fan of you both. My whole life, I have been a tomboy and independent, which has done quite a number on me. My current boyfriend and I dated for 4 years before having our daughter, now 2 years old, and our relationship had completely fallen apart. I had severe postpartum and was in denial that a huge issue in our relationship was my masculine tendency to always want to be right and have control.
That's not a masculine tendency.
That's a character flaw.
It is a character flaw. Always being right has nothing to do with your masculinity.
Yeah.
That is a fucking character flaw. What was the other thing?
Have control.
Okay, that's also not a masculine thing.
No.
Leadership is a masculine thing. Leadership and control is not the same fucking thing. Women can be leaders too. And in that situation, if a woman was leading an army and she's like, I'm a fucking general. Like, okay, you definitely got in your masculine. I get that, because you're sending motherfuckers off to die. Very different conversation than control and fucking...
I'm not getting my way and now we're going to have a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, we both had faults, but now I am aware of my own. Also to note, I suffer from BPD and made huge strides in noticing my triggers and stopping outbursts, so it's amazing to see that Chris is doing the same after being told it was not fixable forever. Anyway, after breaking up for 6 months, I was able to work on myself and embrace what it truly means to be a feminine woman and never look back. Hoping this is encouraging to some women who struggle with letting their guard down and allowing a man that they trust to lead them. We now have a house, and I take pride in being submissive to him. I cook, clean, have great opportunities. Oh, and have the great opportunity of being a stay-at-home mom and raising our daughter, and completely respect him and continue to receive respect in return.
That's all good. All dope.
Mm-hmm. That all being said, I have been working since I was 16 and have always had my own money. I find it extremely difficult to ask him for money, whether it be for groceries, our child, stuff for the house, etc. He has never told me no and never bat an eye when I ask, but I still feel like a burden and uncomfortable asking. How should I go about this? Is this something I will just get used to? Do people normally give their women allowances or something like that? I never ask unless necessary, but it is always hard for me to work the courage up to ask. Please let me know your thoughts.
An allowance is an option. We did that when we first were navigating the finances. It can help if you need spending money. Let's deep dive the allowance first, because I do want to touch on that, because that was a very hot topic conversation for a while. If you're in a traditional marriage and you have one person doing the stay at home and one person working, unless the one person working is making a really good living, there may not be money for an allowance. There are a lot of people who are living that life that are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're making it work because they're happy doing that. So there might not be any money for an allowance. And that's why understanding the finances and having somebody be completely honest with you about what's going on goes a long fucking way. All right, babe, it's week 3 of the month. We have 1 week to pay all the bills. We have this much in the account. We have this much bills to pay. And by the end of it, we're going to have like $180 left. That covers our gas, our food, whatever. We have $180 to date nights, extracurricular, whatever. If you need new makeup, that's not factored for, whatever the case is. That's the conversation. But if you split that 50-50 so that you have an allowance and he has an allowance, that's $90. It changes things a little bit. Mm-hmm. There are times where you can't go out for $90. So that might change what your monthly date night looks like, or however you schedule your life. So that was one aspect of the allowance. In the event that there is enough money where somebody can have a set budget every single week, when a check comes in, automatically $200 gets put into account for them to spend, that's good. Mm-hmm. You're in a pretty decent spot, because that's just play money. However, I think what works best is if all of the money goes into the account, all of the bills get paid, and when you guys want to buy something, you just talk to each other about it. I will make small purchases without really saying shit, because I know where the money is. You clear everything with me, and I never tell you no. Sometimes I just have to be like, all right, use this account instead of this account. But that comes to, I already know that shit, so I don't have to ask you to make those purchases. If I'm spending $1,000, we're fucking talking about the shit. Same thing with you. If either one of us are spending $20 or $30, we're not saying shit to either one of us, because we have $20 or $30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I monitor the accounts daily. I'm in there 3 or 4 times a day checking to make sure that cards haven't been stolen and money's coming in when it's supposed to and going out when it's supposed to, and that's my responsibility as the man. So if you felt like you couldn't come to me and talk to me about our finances and ask me for money, knowing that I've never told you no, or I've been like, hey, we have all of this going out, it's going to clear in the next 2 days, we need to make another deposit, whatever. That conversation needs to be had, but I've never been like, you ask for money all the time, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or I've never shit on you for that. That's a you problem.
Right.
So in this situation, this is a her problem. You are staying at home and carrying half of the load of life. Half of the money that he works for, you're entitled to. And I don't mean that in terms of like marital assets. You guys are working as a team, and as a team, the money is y'all's. Like, it belongs to both of you. That might mean that you guys got $5 each at the end of the week, because sometimes fucking people are broke. It happens.
Yeah.
It's happened to us. There's been days where I was like, oh shit, I wrote a check, forgot, it cleared. Don't use debit cards for the next 2 days. It does happen though, right?
Yeah.
So, but that also comes down to him having the ability to properly lead the house financially, and you guys making that work. This is a you problem. This really is a her problem. What is your thought on that? Because you are kind of in that role.
In the beginning, I mean, even now there are still times like if I have to come to you and ask for like $300 to go clothes shopping for the kids, I get anxiety about it.
Why? Oh, let's talk about that.
Okay.
First answer why, and then let's talk about that.
Okay. The why is because there is that, like the body, not harnesses, it harbors trauma. So I can't remember the exact instances where I was either berated or there was a negative reaction to me asking for money for necessities, but it's happened enough to where my body has a physiological reaction to it. So even though you have never reacted in a way of, I can't believe you're fucking asking me for money again. I can't believe you're asking me to buy things for your children. You've never done that. There is that anxiety that I have to work through. Like I have to hype myself up to get through it of like, okay, this is my husband. This isn't somebody who's going to treat me like shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's that conversation's a bigger conversation and speaks on co-parenting, and I kind of want to go into that. So is there anything else you want to talk about with that before I move into that discussion?
You mean like the money wise things?
Yeah.
Or?
Because this is going to go into a very different discussion. I'm about to take this bitch sideways.
No, just like a personal thing. Yesterday, asking if I could spend $60 on plants, I had anxiety doing that.
That's so weird to me.
Yeah. It's just, I have to tell myself the worst thing he's going to say is no. And it's not because of you. It's just
right. No, I know it's not because of me because I give you everything you ask for.
Yeah, you do.
I fucking worship the ground that you walk on. I don't understand why that's a thing. Okay, so let's talk about the kid thing because that's for people who are in a co-parenting situation. There are two philosophies of co-parenting. One is if your kid has to load a backpack of clothes, toothbrushes, and shit like that, they don't live with you. You're not co-parenting.
Right.
You're a babysitter.
Yeah.
Right.
They sleep over.
Right. The other thought is that if you're co-parenting properly, the clothes can go back and forth, shoes can go back and forth, toys can go back and forth, and all that shit. I am somewhere in the middle of that. Mm-hmm. Because, excuse me, though I want the kids to be able to just live their lives and not have to worry about that, at 4 and 6 years old, the growth spurts are happening.
Yeah.
Shoes are not fitting anymore. And if we are the ones who are constantly buying that shit, it becomes a problem for me.
Right.
Knowing that there is another side to the family. And because I don't ask them about their finances or talk to them about what they're buying, I have no idea what they buy for the kids. So when you come and you're like, hey, I need $200 for clothes. Hey, I need $300 for clothes. And it happens within like 2 months. And we spend $600 on clothes because we have 2 kids. And then it does it again and again. Then I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Where's all these clothes going?
Yeah.
And that creates a different conversation where I can understand how the anxiety of you asking me that might be there because we've had those conversations. Like, why the fuck are we buying shoes? What happens to the ones that we literally just bought? Right? But I also understand that my time constraints are very different than other people's. I don't know what day it is most of the time. I live in a Google Calendar. So the other day to me could have been 3 weeks ago. We had a discussion the other day about the oil change with the same thing. I am very bad about that. So like, I will get not defensive or postured, but I will question because I need to understand where the money's going.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure that even though we're buying this shit, that it is for the most part staying here because we do have 50-50 custody. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to supply their house with furnishings for the kids or clothes or whatever. I'm trying to make sure that our household has what it needs.
Right.
But there's also a part of me that goes, I'm not going to make the kids change their fucking shoes because they're going back to their dads. Like, that's really fucking petty to me. But I also understand that he's not fucking just hoarding shit and stealing from us and being a piece of shit dad either. So there is a weird, like, I think this deserves a topic of conversation.
Okay.
How does that affect you when you ask me about that shit and I question you? Does that bother you?
No, it's not. I expect it because $300 to $600 is a large amount of money.
Well, what if it's $150 3 times in a month? I mean, it's still $500.
That's still a lot of money. Yeah. I mean,
well, almost $500, but close
Okay,
enough.
what's the question again?
So what if it's $150 3 times in a month? Does that bother you as much as asking me for larger amounts?
No, that bothers me more
Why?
because now I'm asking for multiple sums of money.
For the same thing.
No, for the same thing, or I'm worried that, well, why didn't you ask me the first time for this? Like, where's the foresight? What the fuck?
Right. Well, so that's super valid with me.
Yeah.
I would rather buy something once and be done with it.
Right.
I'm not trying to have to fucking budget 6 times for the same fucking thing. So yeah, I get that. That's valid in our relationship. That's a very valid thing. I own that 100%. It's not a shitty thing. Just if you're gonna go to Walmart and buy clothes, just do it once. Don't fucking make 3 trips. It's pointless.
Right.
You know, get this shit over with. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
Get in the car, loser. We got stuff to do. Okay, well, I mean, I guess that's good to know. That's good for me to know, because if you've done that, now I know you really fucking regret doing it.
Doing what?
Asking me the same question multiple times for something you could have done once. You just said that it's worse when you have to ask.
Oh,
like
yeah, I
that.
feel so bad.
It's funny.
Especially if I forget for some reason and now I have to come ask you again. Yeah, I feel like a piece of shit.
I don't think you should feel like a piece of shit over that, though. Like, when you really think about it, that's not something to feel like a piece of shit over. I forgot.
Yeah, it's trauma.
You know how many times I've bought something and be like, shit, I went to the store for that. I didn't get that. Or I Instacart something and buy a whole bunch of shit. And
then forget the thing that you needed.
I still haven't ordered my toothpaste. Like, you know, luckily I have a half a tube left, but like that's when you DoorDashed yesterday, I was like, oh, don't worry. I'll just order my toothpaste off Amazon because it didn't have the store.
Did.
And I still haven't done it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's just life, you know. You focus on the things that you're like, I need to remember this. I'm not going to make a grocery list because I'm going to remember.
Yeah. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
I add things into the Instacart when I think about it.
And just let it sit.
And just let it sit, yeah.
That's smart. I want to know what your thoughts are. If you are watching this on YouTube and you're in the comments and you are co-parenting, how do you handle the money situation when buying items? Do you guys split the bill? Like if you need, because I think that's the fairest way to go, especially if there's not child support.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So if there's not a child support and you guys are literally doing a 50-50 thing and you need $300 worth of clothes, it should be $150 from each parent. And then the clothes can just go wherever the fuck they need to go. And that eliminates that whole, well, you know, leave the shoes here. They get to wear their dad's shoes back to their dad's kind of thing.
Right.
I think that's really the way that it should be had. I think that realistically in an ideal situation would be that all receipts are saved and at the end of the month they're tallied up, photocopied and given to the other parent, and then the other parent can write a check for the half of whatever that tally is. That would make the most amount of sense. Not food, but like video games, clothing, shoes, new backpacks, school supplies, anything that the kids need. That would be the most cost-effective way to make sure that the kids have what they need and both parents are pulling their weight. I think that would be fair.
Okay.
Do you agree, disagree? How do you guys handle your shit? That's what I was asking. Back to the email.
That was the end of the email.
Well, fuck. Next email.
This one's titled Burnout.
Yeah. Dude. Oh, wait. That's burnt out. Never
Burnt
mind.
out. This also has an update included on it.
Uh-oh. We got an update. Mm-hmm. We have to remember to end this with a thank you.
Okay.
Patron.
Hey guys, if you're seeing this, Chris must have just shouted patron.
Patron.
And patron means that we just got somebody who just subscribed to our Patreon.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what that is, Patreon is a member-based subscription website that allows us to do early release, live streams, exclusive content, vlogs, and we have our own Discord server that is exclusive to our Patreon community.
That Discord is absolutely insane. It is an ever-growing community of like-minded people who you could say practice what we preach, have implemented the things that we have suggested, and it's working.
Would you go as far as to say that they're getting better?
I'd go as far as saying that they're definitely getting better. So if you have questions, you need unbiased opinions, you don't feel safe going to anybody in your present life, I would highly recommend checking out the Discord.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't want to support us financially, that's totally fine. The best thing that you can do in terms of helping us grow this channel is by sharing our content. The more people that see what we do, the more likely it is to get shared, the more people that are going to support what we are doing, the longer we are going to do this. Back to your regular scheduled program. When was the last time you watered that bamboo plant that's dying up there?
I actually have done it recently, but I can't get it out of that pot to replant it.
No.
And I bet its roots are all... I've tried everything besides trying to get it out of there because I think I have to break the pot
No.
to be able to get that thing. I think they glued it in there.
No way.
Like super glued it. Because the rock bed on top isn't rocks. It's a very solid...
Puck.
Yeah.
I bought you this for your desk because I thought it would look great, and I won't let it die.
Well, it's not on your desk anymore.
But it's dead.
Got a bonsai tree in our living room now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm convinced that it's just like a clipping of a branch of like a bush
Stuck in a
outside
pot.
of a Lowe's. Yeah. Because I was trimming it yesterday because I wanted to shape it. And I was like, yeah, Mr. Miyagi. And I'm doing the thing. And I'm looking at this and I was like, huh. And I was like, that really looks like the bush outside of my child's school. I think that's what they did. And I paid $30 for it.
Rough.
It creates ambiance in our living room. I like it. I'm trying to, because I didn't get to spring clean the house during spring break because life got in the way. And I'm really trying to spruce up the house and create feng shui.
We actually need to get garbage bags and properly throw shit out.
I know that's what I want to do.
Donate. I would like to actually clean the house in that aspect because there's shit that I don't need that just sits.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that I'm not a hoarder and I don't have a problem throwing things away, but I don't throw them away right away.
Yeah, I put it down and I forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might need this in a week and it'll sit there 8 months go by and then I'll see it again and be like, really should have thrown that away.
Yeah.
And then when I need it and I did throw it away, I'm like, fuck, and I got to buy it again. So yeah, but I do want to declutter the house and get rid of a lot of shit.
Oh, I would love to. Been watching a lot of minimalist videos.
You know what the problem is though, is even if we do that, it's not going to matter if we continue buying shit we don't need.
I want to start implementing if I'm buying something that's not like a plant, if I'm getting new knitting supplies, I need to go through my knitting shit and make room for it. Like if I don't have space for it, I'm not purchasing it.
Well, that would be the case if we ended up in a tiny home.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way we could live in a tiny home. We have so much fucking shit in this house. Our poker table alone wouldn't fit into a tiny home.
No, we would probably play poker outside in a gazebo.
Yeah. No, we wouldn't.
No, that's right.
I
the
just
heat.
wouldn't play poker.
Yeah.
Heat and mosquitoes in Florida. I don't want nothing to do with either one of those. All right, let's email. We're sidetracking.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm not sure where to start with this email, so I'm just going to dive in and try to be as thorough as possible.
Dope. Do that.
My partner, 36 male, and I, 33 female, have known each other for 9 years. We were friends for 5 years before we got together, but feelings have always been there.
So you guys have known each other for half your life.
They've known each other for 9 years.
They were friends for 5 years before that.
No, they were friends for 5 years out of that 9
Oh.
before they got together.
Okay.
We met at a time of emotional immaturity, and it took time and growth to choose each other. By that time, I had a young child of my own, but he easily stepped into the fatherly role. My daughter was just a toddler at the time, but they immediately bonded, and for the most part, things were good. We were both working at the time, and I had been a single parent without support from the biological father. That's a whole different story there. This was in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic. We were fortunate to have the support of my parents for additional childcare, so we did our best to make ends meet and continue working as the world around us turned upside down. We're both blue collar, so making ends meet has always been a challenge, but one we've learned to navigate. Admittedly, there wasn't much discussion about expectations or delegation of tasks. That wasn't something either of us were taught to even consider. He ended up moving in with me because I had my own place with my daughter and he had been living with a roommate. Because he moved in with me, I continued to pay for housing on my own without really thinking about it. That's wild.
Yeah, I needed to touch on two things. The biological not paying child support unless it's relevant to what's happening currently is not relevant to the email. So that was just like a fuck you to him in the email.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate things like that. I think that unless it's relevant to what's currently happening, we don't need that kind of information. I really, truly believe that is hurt.
Right.
That comes from a hurt you. Like, you need to heal that shit instead of blaming or telling other people about it. I don't feel sorry for you. I no offense, I don't. So hearing that, it's not going to be like, oh, poor her, or that sucks. You chose that life.
Right.
Right? So, like, heal from that shit. Move on. If you got a deadbeat dad for your children, remember, you made that choice. You laid with them. You decided to have the child with or without them. And you knew who they were as people. And if you didn't know who they were as people and they did you dirty, you chalked it up as I didn't fucking know any better and move on with your life.
Yeah.
That happened. This is the situation. What am I going to do about it? Harboring that fuck you is not going to do anything. And especially in emailing us, that's not going to help us get to resolution of what's currently going on in your life unless it's very relevant to what's happening right now.
It's going to make her bitter.
It clearly. And that's how I hear those things. So that's part of the trauma dumping things that we don't want to deal with. The other thing was, she said that he moved in and she just continued paying for everything.
Yeah, without really thinking about it.
What the fuck does that say about him to move into a woman's house and allow her to mommy him, pay for his fucking life and not offer to help?
Right.
Hey, I'm going to move in. Okay, cool. What's the rent every month?
What do the bills look like?
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that you're already doing this on your own, but like, I'm gonna be living here now, and I can't allow a woman to support me. I'm just, Right. No, my pride is too thick. I'm not swallowing that. I need to know how much I owe you every month.
Yeah.
All right.
We were living in a studio apartment, which had been enough for my daughter and I, but he soon began to complain about the lack of space. When it came time to renew the lease. What?
How are you going to move into somebody else's house and complain about it?
Right.
You're not even fucking contributing. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
What you going to do about it? Oh, you don't like that it's too small? Well, you're the man. Get us a bigger place and pay for it.
How does that song go from TLC?
Hanging out the passenger
side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
They obviously got through this, and this is just a backstory, but
right.
And this also falls into the child support thing. If this is not relevant to what's currently happening, this is not relevant information to what we're going through right now. And when you guys send shit, we're gonna pick this kind of stuff apart.
Yeah, because it's really shitty behavior.
It is. And ladies, if you got a man that wants to come in and fucking mooch off you,
no, I'm not here to be a mommy.
No, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm here to be a wife.
Yeah, which is teamwork.
Right.
This sparkle, drizzle shit doesn't fly.
Oh my god.
You need sparkle drizzle. So like you both contribute half of that analogy and then you have a dope fucking life.
Yeah. I agree with
Sparkle
that.
drizzle.
Sparkle drizzle.
Spar drizzle.
Spar drizzle.
Sparizzle. Sparizzle.
That's close to Spartan and that makes me feel good.
Drizzarkle.
Drizzarkle.
I've been hit in the head a lot. Stop it. Now you're doing it.
I'm thinking about it. Yep. I heard.
I look over and you're like.
like my mind is like flopping parts of the words to mash them together. Oh my gosh. I listened to Brett Cooper this morning. She actually broke down the sparkle. I've never heard of the sparkle. I heard of the drizzle movement the other day.
Well, yeah, I heard a lot about it because somebody's been asking, and I made a video, and people are like, I can't believe you're talking about something you don't know anything about. I'm like, well, they asked, and I specifically said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, so let me Google it real quick. And I was like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole sparkle movement, I heard some woman started it, and it was, how do you get a man to give you money? You just get in his ear and whisper, do you want to make me happy right now? Take me to the ATM and give me as much money as you deem fit. And she was like, and that's what you give me in the relationship.
So what you do, if anybody ever says that to you, is you drive them to the ATM, get out and open the car door and be like, come on, baby. Let her get out of the car, close the door.
And then leave her.
And then leave her.
Yes.
Right there at the ATM.
Proper response. And she was like, because you know that'll stroke his ego because now he's providing for you. And then you just whispered in his ear and that does something for him too. It's all manipulation. It's disgusting.
What we need in our cars is the ejectocito.
A little boop.
Ejectocito, cuz.
Get a little hoe button. When it came time to renew the lease, I saw opportunities for bigger living arrangements and tried to involve him in that process. But as the deadline came up, he still hadn't invested effort into the conversation, so I selected a spacious loft that I could afford with a second job and made the decisions on my own.
Wow. This is what not to do in a relationship.
Right? I was with somebody for a few years, and every place that we moved into was because I worked my ass off to get it. And I looked at the listings and I found the places and I talked to the realtors and I negotiated everything. And every time I picked a place, this is the place you chose. Are you serious? I hate everything about this. Right, but we've had a year in looking at places and you said you didn't care. So I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. I am good on that kind of relationship.
Yeah. Why? So non-relationship information, if you have to get a second job to be able to afford to exist, you are living outside of your means.
Yes, I agree with that.
This is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Having to get a second job with a child to be able to support a child and a man and exist is not the fucking move. You should have stayed in the studio apartment until your kid needed their own bedroom and then moved to a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And your kid could have had the bedroom and you could have slept in the living room if that's all you could afford. You could have made that work. That's not it. This is not the fucking move. This is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, stop living outside of your means. You guys get too worried about the flash of everything and then wonder why you fucking can't afford to do shit. And you're stressed out and you're overextended. Your fucking credit card debt that you can't pay down, that you're just making the minimum payments on, that eventually you're going to default on because it's too fucking hard to pay the minimum.
Mm.
That $500 a month bill on top of everything else that you barely can afford to pay is going to be a real fucking problem.
Right. Also, you're not a parent at that point. You're a provider. You're a worker. You're bringing a paycheck home. That child's not going to know you on a personal level.
No. Nope. I mean, and she said that their families were helping.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he stepped into the role of being a caretaker when she wasn't there. But why is she the one taking a second job to do shit? That
he's the one who's upset about the space.
Men. Backhand the fuck out of people. Pow. The fuck did you say? It's like the Batman meme. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Next.
Something just gets going with my hormones when you start talking about men
Smacking
being men.
people.
And you have such a high standard for what it looks like to be a man and a husband and a provider. And
Right. Well,
it's attractive to me.
Because I didn't understand what it was.
Right.
Right. So like everybody has a standard and the goal is to move that line, right? Your standard is your rule of expectation. It's a standard. Mm-hmm. And that standard should be moved as you advance in life. And if your standard was to have your own place and to have a car, you can live in a fucking duplex, super cheap in a really shitty neighborhood and have a beater ass car that's constantly broken. And that could be enough for you.
Yeah.
But when you get that, the next thing should be like, all right, now I need a new car. And then get that new car and be like, all right, now that I got a new car, the next thing is a better place to live. Right? Because car maintenance is a whole lot different than rent. Mm-hmm. And then you get to that point and you just level and level and level, not fucking just accept your living situation. I'm not happy with this.
With what?
All of it. We have a very successful podcast, multiple businesses, a huge fucking house, 3 new cars, dirt bikes, quads, looking at boats. Like we have a really good fucking life, and I'm not content at all. Mm-hmm. I want a barn dominium on 50 fucking acres of land with our friends living on the land with us and creating a little commune so that they can keep the garden alive while we travel the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to be gone for a month.
Don't kill my tomatoes, please.
Yeah, don't let the goats die, right? Like, no. On a serious note, like I have so much more that I'm working towards in life. They're not dreams.
Right.
I have fucking goals, and there's a difference there. I would love to be 100 millionaire traveling the world doing seminars, being the next Joe Rogan, or being like the world's greatest counseling couple, even though we're not counselors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would love to have that kind of shit, but those are dreams. I don't think that that's in the cards for us. And in the event that that happened, it would be a whole lot of luck, right? Because we're nobodies. We just created a podcast and it happened to do well. Mm-hmm. There's no longevity in this beyond what we're doing. We have no idea how to evolve this and make it bigger. We have lots of wants and do want to make it bigger and do these things, but our real life, I want to open other businesses. I want to put other people in businesses and get mailbox money. A lot of people would get to where I am in life and they would have quit. They would have just continued doing what they were doing because they got very comfortable.
Right.
I hate all of this. This isn't enough for me. I want more. So the idea of sitting stagnant and accepting a handout or allowing somebody to take care of me and just kind of cruising through life, I'm not about that. I will say, however, there is a freedom in being broke.
There is. Is that the end of your sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the email. Over the next year, I ended up working 3 jobs to make ends meet while he continued with one and contributed minimally to the finances. Some groceries and I think half of the utilities.
And you allowed it to happen.
Yep. During this time, I was also managing the household entirely. Laundry, chores, grocery shopping, and the majority of the parenting.
How do you do that with 3 jobs? That's 1 full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, which would have been, I guess, made more sense to just take on 2 full-time jobs.
Right.
But how are you doing that and taking care of the house and your kid?
It doesn't make sense, right? Back into the email. I didn't think much of it at the time because in my mind, these were things I would have been doing without him there anyway.
No, you wouldn't have because you had a smaller apartment.
Right.
You were able to survive with a single job, be a parent, and pay your bills without him being there.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have changed. You would have been able to survive until you were able to level up in life enough to move on. You moved on and then had to work a whole lot more to support another human being and make them happy doing what they're doing. This is what men are supposed to be doing. This is not a woman's job. And I don't give a fuck how many of you get mad about that. This is not a woman's responsibility.
I agree.
And I understand that those kids are not his, or a kid is not his, but he stepped into that role to be with a woman who has a child and then moved in there.
Right.
You accept that when you do that. Especially knowing that the other father wasn't in the picture. That changes everything.
Right.
Because, anyways, that changes everything. That's a whole other fucking topic.
I also experienced a devastating terminal illness and loss of my lifelong best friend during that time. Again, a whole different story, but to cover the basics, this friend spent the last months of his life in hospice care in our home and had named me his medical proxy and caretaker. I would not have done anything differently and will always be grateful that I could be there to ease things for him. But it broke things in me. Oh my goodness, what just happened? But it broke things in me that changed me as a person.
Okay. Hearing that and not being in that situation, there are some things that you should have done differently. Mm-hmm. Let's look at everything that they set up until the hospice thing. How are you being a medical caretaker and working 3 jobs and being a parent?
Right.
Now you have got no time working your ass off, trying to be a parent, trying to be a medical caretaker in a fucking small ass apartment or small house, however they're living. Mm-hmm. The things that you could have done differently is you could have told that dude to get a fucking job, like a second job. You could have quit one of yours and then you could have done two. You both could have 2 jobs. And then you could have been a caretaker and actually been a caretaker or actually been a parent. Mm-hmm. I understand that what they meant in that was that they would not have done anything different. Like they took care of their best friend. And I understand that's what they meant. But when you say things like there's nothing I would have done differently, you're wrong. There's things that you should have done differently in that situation to have made all of that better.
Right.
Now, if your life right now is dope as a motherfucker, you wouldn't be sending this email. Maybe that is what you had to go through to get to where you're going. And if you're happy with where you are right now, none of this matters.
My partner was there for me during this time and through the ugly grief that followed, and for that I will always be thankful. Unfortunately, as we all know, time does not stop for grief, so I had to continue working and taking care of things. It was at this point it really began to wear on me. I chalked it up to trauma and told myself that with time and therapy, I'd go back to my old self. That will never happen. You don't, you can regress as a person, but that shouldn't be the goal.
You can never go back.
Right.
Life continues. You change as life continues.
And you grow. A few months later, when it was time to renew our lease, my partner had made it clear he hated the loft and wanted a house. I wasn't ready to leave that space, partially due to grief, partly because I thought it was a beautiful space, but I agreed to look. We looked at several homes, but nothing he liked was affordable, and nothing I found that I could afford was up to his standards. Eventually, I sat him down and made it clear I couldn't afford what he was wanting, and he announced he was planning on starting to pay half the rent at that point, something he had never mentioned before. Even with that, I could not afford what he was wanting due to a car payment and other expenses. I finally had to firmly tell him that what I could afford, and that he was going to have to be okay with that if we were splitting costs 50-50. He gave in, but was passive-aggressive or complained constantly. What a pussy.
I'm so glad you said that.
What a bitch-ass little boy.
In my head, all I can think of is that sound on TikTok. Oh, look, a bitch.
She was a fairy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
We spent about a year and a half in the home we moved to, and there were many discussions during that time about expectations, standards, boundaries, needs, etc. Some days, I honestly wasn't sure we would survive. Even through the grief I was still struggling to process, I kept trying to work on myself and my communication skills. During that time, we also purchased a second car because his car broke down beyond repair.
We. Not he, we. We purchased another car.
During that time, we also purchased a second car because his car broke down. Both cars were in my name due to my having better credit.
Caught that one.
And I basically handed him the keys to my older car. At the time I took on 2 car payments, I sat him down and brought up the conversation of division of expenses. After much discussion and having to break things down for him way more than should have been necessary for an adult, he agreed to pay the full rent because I paid for both cars. We still split groceries and utilities, and I covered the car insurance. He also took on laundry and became more involved in day-to-day parenting as I expressed I couldn't manage the workload I had been for so long anymore. My mental health was beginning to affect my physical health, and I needed help. At first, it seemed to be working well, and things between us started to improve. Our sex life had been struggling, if not altogether dead, for almost a year at that point, and even that improved. Then, after a few months, he started showing resentment toward any expectation of involvement in family time and seemed to want to spend all of his time at work, asleep, or connected to a screen, phone, laptop, or video games. He also continued to constantly complain about our living situation. Granted, our landlord was terrible and, among other things, refused to fix our AC when it broke, and instead installed poorly functioning window units that were not designed to handle Midwest heat or that space. The housing situation came to a head when we got a notice from the sheriff saying that the taxes were 5 years behind and the house was going to auction. We scrambled to once again find something that met our housing needs and budget. My partner invested minimal effort and had unreasonable expectations. Granted, the housing market isn't great right now, and while we both have higher paying jobs than when we first got together, we still aren't particularly well off. I found a nice house in a quiet neighborhood that worked for our needs with minimal compromise. At first, he was unwilling to compromise at all, but at that point, we had a month to figure something out. I told him he had 2 weeks to find a solution he preferred, or we needed to accept the house I found. Probably no surprise at this point, we ended up moving into the house that I found for us.
Big fucking shock there.
You were correct. That was absolutely no surprise to me. You have chosen a very weak man as your mate.
Yeah, he's not a man. That's not a man. This is a woman being intermasculine.
Yeah.
This is a woman leading her household. Mm-hmm. That's a beta male.
Yeah, because Yep. We've mostly been happy here, but he frequently still finds something he's not content with, though he makes no effort to come up with solutions, which I find frustrating. Sounds like a woman.
I wasn't going to say that. You can, though.
He sounds like a woman, a very emotionally immature woman. I wonder how many women he grew up around and if he had a father figure in the household.
Okay. Let me spin off that question.
Okay.
If he did grow up solely with women, how did those women not teach him how to be a man in that aspect? If it was just around women who allowed men to do exactly what he's doing to this woman, at what point how did all of those women fail him? Do you understand what I'm asking you? Let me start over.
Okay.
Because now I'm fucking annoyed. If he did grow up with women, all of those women in his life failed to teach him how a man is supposed to treat a woman.
Correct.
They allowed, which means they probably did the same thing that woman's doing. Bringing men in, letting them mooch off of them, just be a fucking, dependent until they're not happy anymore. Take them for all they have and then leave.
Right.
So if he was raised by women and lived in an entire house of women, they failed him just as much as not having a man.
Yeah.
And if there was a man there, no, there wasn't.
A boy raised by a boy. Back to the email?
Yep.
A couple of months ago, I stumbled across your podcast and, though overcoming my initial triggers and taking the time to process and dissect them and take in what you're saying, I found a lot of your topics helpful. I've tried showing the podcast to him and he seems receptive, but I don't know how much he's actually absorbed thus far.
Not much if he's not taking care of you.
Right. I've been trying to implement aspects of what I'm learning. I've been pushing myself to manage my time better and take accountability, as well as being mindful of my tone and phrasing in our discussions. My biggest issue that I feel is still a struggle is that I feel as though he doesn't want to have any constructive discussions. We're not in a position currently to move into traditional roles, but he seems open to working towards that goal.
No, he's giving you lip service.
Right. I was about to say, what in the years that you've been together has shown you that he is capable of falling into that traditional man role?
Right.
This would not, if I were a single woman, this kind of man, this type of whatever this is, would be the last thing on my radar. I would get a little blip of that and be like, oh, ew. And then change directions.
There are a lot of men out there who think that this is okay behavior.
Absolutely unacceptable.
Right? We know that. Mm-hmm. She obviously knows that. If that's the way you want to live your life, you have every right to do that. If that's what makes you happy. Mm-hmm. Just know that there are people out there who look down on people who do that shit. And it's not from a place of superiority. It's from a place of pity. Mm-hmm. I spit all over myself.
Yeah.
It's from a place of pity.
Right.
I can't believe I just spit on myself on the podcast. I'm totally leaving that in. Comedic relief. I don't feel like I'm better than people who live like that. Mm-hmm. I feel sorry for them.
I agree.
Like you can't have pride living like that. How can you live like that and lift your fucking head up when you walk into a room? How I could never be a dependent. Mm-hmm. I couldn't. The idea of somebody else financially taking care of me makes me sick to my stomach. I'd rather be homeless or live in my fucking car than let somebody take care of me like that.
Yeah.
I have too much pride and I have too much self-respect and dignity for that to be the case. What did he do with all that money all that time? How is his credit not okay? If he had years where he wasn't paying any bills other than helping out with the groceries and paying some of the utilities, how the fuck did he have a car that was breaking down? Mm-hmm. And hopefully he hears this. How are you going to call yourself a man knowing that your woman is working 3 jobs to support you?
Right.
They could have had traditional roles. Mm-hmm. She could have been the head of house and she could have worked and he could have stayed home. When you look at what's actually being said, that's factual.
Yeah.
They could have stayed in the smaller house. She could have worked her 3 jobs and he could have never worked. Mm-hmm. Taking care of the kid, cleaning the house, taking care of it. He could have been the housewife.
Yep.
That's the energy that you're putting off with this. And that's not saying that there's anything wrong with being a stay-at-home.
Right.
You can do that in any way, shape, or fashion. But we are built differently than women are. We are made to break our backs and they are not. I don't like this. You shouldn't be talking to a man about traditional gender roles when you don't have a man that is capable of that.
Right.
This is the prime example of women in their masculine and men not. Mm-hmm. In terms of like the emails that we get.
Right.
For the people who are like, well, I want to be a stay-at-home dad. Do you want to be a stay-at-home dad, or you just not want to work? That's how I view that. This situation, he's not a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
He's not the dad. He takes up a whole lot of his time with screen times. He's not the kid's biological father. I don't know how involved he is with the kid because she hasn't actually given that information. Three jobs, 3 fucking jobs, and he's working one, and up until this new place that they moved into hadn't been contributing, and now she owns his car.
Yeah.
You got yourself a sugar mama, bro.
Yeah.
You better start calling her mommy.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
Nope, I can't. I don't even know what you're going to say, but if it's about this email, no, I can't.
It's not about, I mean, kind of. It's a story, I guess. Just to help people really like drive the point home. Could you imagine me putting an application in at American Airlines to be a pilot? And they look at me and go, she would like having her face flying our planes. We're going to sell a lot of tickets. And then I crash my first flight because I'm unqualified for the fucking position.
Okay. Not at all where I thought this was going.
That's the vibe it gets me, though.
Okay.
It gives me. You're finding the first person who fills the void, who kind of piques your interest because whether people like to admit it or not, you judge everybody you look at the first time you look at them.
Absolutely.
And whether you are attracted to that person or not depends on whether or not if they approach you, you'll accept it.
That's true.
Right? If you didn't look the way you looked and you approached me, I'd have been like, you can wait in line. Right? You have a bomb-ass personality, and then it's just a bonus that you're hot.
Okay. So I had to wait in line to show you my personality?
No, I would have observed.
So you're saying there was a chance?
What do you mean? Oh, because of the lion? Yeah. Well, like that gentleman who approached me at Lowe's yesterday who was showing me his tattoos. I judged that man based on his appearance. And if he would have approached me and asked me for my phone number and I was a single woman, I would have told him no. Right? If somebody approaches you and they give you a good vibe and a good feeling and you're attracted to them, you're probably going to tell them yes. So, knowing this person for 5 years before you got together, in that 5 years, did you not see the quality of his character? Right? Were you just like hanging out in group settings and you saw him once every 3 months? Like how did you know him?
Yeah.
Because getting to the point of being with somebody this way, this man is not qualified to be a father. This man is not qualified to be a husband. The only thing that's coming to my mind is diversity quotas. Just hiring people to fill the slot to make it look good.
Now I see where the American Airlines thing came in.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you allow somebody to move into your house without having a discussion?
Right?
Like, that's an important decision.
That's your home. That's your safety.
I got to know how his manipulation skills are.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be a salesman. He's in the wrong line of work.
Smooth talker.
Talks himself right into an apartment and I have to pay for it?
For years, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to find a job in sales. He needs to become a car salesman. Used car salesman.
Back into the email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I understand that I'm a judgmental prick sometimes.
Okay.
I get that. I'm okay with it. It's not a character flaw. That judgment has saved me a lot of heartache, and it's served me very well in life. There are times that I misjudge. I own that too. Mm-hmm. But my initial assessment of people within the first 30 seconds of getting to know them tells me a lot.
Right.
My intuition, if you want to call it that. So when we have these conversations and I get uppity about what we're reading in the email, it's because the shit bothers me.
Right.
Because if this was somebody that I was related to or a friend of mine and this is how they were choosing to live their life, I would have a problem with this. I would have a problem being around them.
Right.
Knowing that this was a thing. I personally couldn't be friends with somebody who lives like this. I wouldn't want them in my social circle. I wouldn't want them around me or the people I care about. I would not. I don't know. I don't know. This dude could be a fucking really cool guy.
Yeah.
But his past actions do not indicate that.
Yeah.
However, all the shit that we talk about being in the past, this is in the past. And if he's doing what he's supposed to be doing now, great. Because now they're watching the podcast and having talks. So I guess there's still more to the email.
Yeah.
This, also would like to point out that unless all of that information is relevant to what is currently happening and what's happening moving forward and what they need help with, all of that was also a trauma dump.
I agree.
Because now she's painted a picture of who he is as a man.
And it's a really shitty one.
Right.
A really shitty one. There was something I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it was.
Or is that a preemptive in case you laugh later?
I already did it. I just hurt my neck. You'll see it when you're editing. My neck hurts now. I think I honestly got a little bit of whiplash going over that speed bump the other day. My neck hurts a little bit. I'm not used to being this dainty and delicate. Used to be over 300 pounds. I was a boulder.
Now you're a dandelion.
Oh my gosh, I am.
Look, a dandelion.
I'm okay with you eating me.
Oh, man.
Did I do it? Did I wink?
I think you did. All I heard was, heh.
Damn it, I still made the noise.
And in my head, you went, and wink.
I thought I made the noise in my mind.
No, you made the noise.
I was trying to be cute and seductive.
Making the horn honk.
Her.
Like a goose.
Yeah.
Silly goose.
Silly goose. I'm a snake. I'm a slithery little snake. Did you ever see that?
I did, but you don't have to make the exaggerated tongue sound.
Touche. My first thought was, fuck her. That's slithery. Oh my God, I really don't. That wasn't exaggerated. Holy shit. You're right.
Oh, fuck.
I needed that laugh. I was pretty stressed out. Right now, I'm working 6 days a week, and he is working 3 days and 12-hour shifts with a few overtime hours when they're available.
Okay, so you guys are still working. She didn't say how many hours she was working.
Right, just
if you're
6
working
days a week.
6 days a week, 3 hours at a time,
right.
I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah. Due to the 50-50 financial split, I still need help around the house and with parenting. So he only does so on his terms and with visible annoyance. Okay, so 50-50 isn't just finances. And 50-50 will never look 50-50.
Right.
You handle all of our finances, and I handle all of that cleaning in the house. Mm-hmm. I would rather deal with cleaning a house versus stressing about money and paying rent on multiple buildings and making sure employees are getting paid. And if something bounces, how am I going to $5,000? I'm good on that. I have done the single mom thing and stressing out about money and trying to make rent and buy groceries and make sure I can still get gas in the same week.
Do you feel that way even though it gives you anxiety to have to ask me for money?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the anxiety that I feel in asking for money is a brief moment, and the stress of finances is constant from the moment I woke up.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah, I'm good.
I agree. I
would rather deal with that 5 minutes of being uncomfortable and like coaxing those rough waters within myself, because there's never a reaction of, I can't believe you just fucking asked me for money.
Right.
Again, are you kidding me? What am I supposed to fund your life? I mean, yeah, that's kind of the agreement, babe. Like 100% would rather deal with that blip versus the stress that you have to deal with running finances. Yeah. It is so much easier for me to organize a house versus imaginary money on a phone.
I love that you worded it that way. Because
Why?
it is.
Imaginary money on a phone? It is, yeah. You're just looking at numbers on a phone and hope that nothing crashes.
Right. Well, that's everybody agreeing that that's what you have in the bank.
Yeah.
And if somebody goes, that's not what you have. Well, I put it in there. Prove it.
Right.
Well, I have a pay stub. We'll prove you didn't spend it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I had an issue once.
Do you remember when Greece ran out of money? Do you remember that? Like
a decade
I do
remember that, yeah.
15 years ago or whatever.
Holy shit.
You could only pull $60 out of the ATM when there was money in the ATM. And they were telling people, okay, the ATMs will be restocked on Tuesday, and there would be hours of lines for people to get to the ATM, and it would run out of money before people got their money.
I'm good on that.
That's why I don't want a digital currency.
Yeah.
You go completely digital, the government can shut off all of it.
Everything.
At a push of a button. Banks can. Oh, you didn't pay your car payment this month? I'm going to go ahead and just take that. You don't get a say. That's not yours. Right. Yeah, fuck that.
1984.
Yeah. Right? You'll own nothing and like it. I would like to point out that, although that wasn't 1984, that 12-hour days, 3 days a week is not a 3 day a week. It's not 3 on, 4 off. It's a rotating schedule. There are weeks that you'll work 4 days or 5 days, depending on how your schedule works.
Okay, so it's not a set 3 days on, 4 days off.
It could be at his job.
Okay.
I've never experienced that. In my experience, whenever I've worked a 12-hour shift for 3 days, it's always been 3 on, 2 off, 3 on, 3 off.
Okay.
So that's the way that it's worked. So there are weeks where you will work 3, 5, 6 days, depending on where the week lands.
Okay.
Right? So like you do get those days off, but if you're working those kind of hours, like especially if you're working overnight, you're sleeping during the daytime, your sleep schedule gets fucked up. That's a whole different discussion. There needs to be a grace in that. So if he's working from 7 at night to 7 in the morning, coming home and sleeping while she's at work and having to watch the kid and do all of that shit, that's problematic. He needs to find a different job.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. I also think that this is going to be an unpopular opinion. Especially coming from me being a bonus dad, I have no problems watching the kids. Like if you wanted to go to the store or if I had to help with homework or do bath time or whatever I needed to do to make sure that our houses ran, I would do it. But to expect another human being that is not a parent of your child to be responsible for that child at your beck and call is a fucking problem.
I agree with that.
If I stepped in, if we had the kids full time and part of the living agreement was I was going to help you pay bills and you were going to back off of the daycare and we were going to have more money because we're splitting everything now and 2 incomes in one house. There's no daycare, all of that. And like we made that agreement, that would be very different because at that point I'm stepping into that role on my terms saying, okay, I'm willing to be a caretaker to your child. If that was never a discussion, you don't get to expect your new person to take care of your children. They don't owe you that.
Right.
Just like you should have had a conversation about him paying half the fucking bills and you chose not to. These are the conversations that need to be had. Now, if she's like, I'm going to go get a second job. Will you watch little Susie while I'm at work? Is this going to be a problem? And he says, no, that conversation was had. He shouldn't be getting shitty about it. Now I want to know why he's getting shitty. Why is there aggression or resentment or the issues that are having because the conversation was had? And that's, well, you said you would be willing to do this for me. So what's changed? That's a conversation that needs to happen. And that conversation does need to happen.
I agree.
But I do think it's important to understand that unless you've married somebody and they've actually stepped into that role as a step parent, you should never assume anyone is going to do anything for you. Let's just go with that. These conversations need to be had, and you should never expect a bonus parent to just step up and fucking raise your children. They're still your kids. In the event that something happened to us, and I'm going to take it to an extreme and say one of us passed. Let's say like car accident, you passed. I would still be a part of the kid's life as like pops on occasions. Maybe holidays they'll get gifts from me and shit, but like I wouldn't be in their life long term. They have a dad still. Their dad is going to fall into that role and become Mr. Mom and Mr. Dad and do that role. And though I'm cool with him, like they're not my kids. I don't have any fucking right to them. And in the event that people are married and they got divorced, stepdad spends 15 years raising a child, starts putting away for the college fund and like pays for college for this motherfucker, and then divorce happens, that money's gone.
Right. All that time and energy and...
Right. And unless they have a really dope relationship and the child wants to continue that relationship with the step-parent's out of the fucking picture. And most of the time, that's how that looks. More often than not, they don't talk anymore when the divorce happens.
Right.
You guys need to be a little more realistic with this shit. Your bonus parents will never love your kids the way that you love your kids. They will love them. Absolutely love them. I think the kids are fucking dope. They melt my heart every fucking day. Especially little man. He's my little champion right now. I'm favoritism. It happens. Right? And it shifts because sometimes she's my favorite. Sometimes he's my favorite. Right now, he's my favorite.
Yeah.
So.
He's all about you right now.
He is. He's just so happy about it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think what does it for me, because everything is just so cool to him.
Yeah.
That's what he says. This is so cool. And I love that shit. But your connection to your kids is not the same as my connection to your kids. It never will be.
Right.
And I can call them mine all I want. The reality of the situation is if something happens, they're not my fucking kids.
Right.
So for her to be in that situation where she wants him to be dad, he's not dad. He's there to facilitate team efforts between the two of you. And when this kid grows up and moves out, you think that your son or daughter in that situation where you're both in healthcare at old ages, if there's been a divorce, that kid is going to step up and help the retirement home situation for this guy? I don't. At all. I think that as the kids grow up and realize that I'm not their dad and I've just been here the entire time and I end up in a retirement center and you end up in a retirement center, my retirement center is not getting paid for by the kids. They'll come see you. If we're in the same retirement center, they may come see me, but that relationship's not going to be the same. It's just not.
I think to say that in a definitive it kind of takes away from the kids' characters as adults.
I'm not saying it as a definitive. I'm saying that it's not likely.
Okay.
It's not the same. It's just not. We can even talk about that with kids. How many kids put their fucking parents in a retirement home and then just stop seeing them? It happens.
Yeah.
So
I think it also depends on the relationship.
Well, obviously.
Right.
But if the mom and the bonus parent is in a situation like that, the biological parent is going to get more attention than the non-biological parent. And I believe that is a definite across the board. Because regardless of how much one has done for the other, that blood connection, as this is my biological parent, means a whole lot more. I don't know. Let's get back to the email.
Okay. Our one night a week to spend time together as a family is Monday evening, but he frequently tries to find an excuse to work overtime that night, even if there are other nights when he could be doing that. If I ask for time, he gets annoyed, as though asking him to make time for our family one night a week is too much. Well, it might be. This could be like the one night where he sees like he gets a break because you're working 6 other days of the week. If he's home every night by himself with the kid, he could view it as his one night to get away. And if you were to react in a way that would guilt him or shame him or judge him for wanting that one night a week break, he might be trying to fill that in with it's overtime to get away.
Yeah, if this is the one night a week that they get to see each other, though, and he chooses to work overtime, he doesn't like her.
Yeah.
And I understand she keeps using the term "our family."
They're not married.
Right, they're not. And that's not his kid.
Right.
Quality time is a decision. It's a choice. You have to want to be there. If the kid's a problem, if this, I don't know how old they said the kid was. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. But if this kid is a problem for him and it's a spoiled kid and it screams and cries and he doesn't like being there because of the way the kid behaves, eventually he's not going to want to be there because of the way the kid behaves. So though you may still be, bonded to him, it makes him not want to be there. Right. And if the relationship between the two of you isn't right and he's not happy with you and you're both there, he really doesn't want to be there.
Right.
This is the read between the lines situation. I'm asking for Monday nights for him to not work overtime so that we can have family dinners and like really connect and strengthen our relationship. And instead he's choosing to work.
Yeah.
What's that tell you? That's how she needs to view that situation. Yeah. Read between the lines of what's actually happening here.
You and I had a conversation similar to that the other day because of how much you've been playing video games.
At the studio.
Yeah, I had to ask, like, are you getting tired of being around me? Because I was becoming insecure. Like, I know that it's decompression time for you. I have a lot of shit going on. I would rather you be doing something you enjoy versus just sitting here bored because you being present makes me feel good.
Right.
Right?
Well, and that was actually the discussion.
Right, because it's selfish of me to want that. But I did need to hear that you weren't getting tired of spending time with me. And it's okay to have that conversation. It's okay to be insecure sometimes.
Right. But the conversation needs to be had.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. That was a good conversation for us. So I felt like it was a good conversation for us because I told you that I'm going to do the same thing here or there. I'm going to be in front of a screen. So I'm either going to be sitting here at my computer watching YouTube, researching shit, spending money, fucking editing or whatever. Or I'm going to be sitting on the couch watching TV, and I can do both of those things at the studio and at least occupy my time with something that I enjoy, right? Because there's no boredom while I'm playing video games. If I get bored playing video games, I come back home, right? But that also speaks on what's going on in the house while I'm doing that. If we're all just sitting around bored out of our fucking minds, that's a problem. If you're doing housework and I'm sitting around watching TV and my work for the day is done and we are not going to have quality time together, I could either get up and help with chores, which we know is not a thing for you because you don't want me doing it, or I could go play video games. Or if we had internet here, I could play internet here or play video games here. But that's a conversation that needs to be had. It's not about like not wanting, like you said, it's not about not wanting to spend time. It's about if I'm going to be bored one way or another, should be doing something that I can occupy my time with to make me not bored. And this is not that though. This is a work thing.
Yeah.
And if he's intentionally not being there and using work as an excuse to catch overtime, if he's only working 3 days a week, he can catch an extra shift instead of staying late.
Right.
So I think that this comes down to him not wanting to be around you right now. And that's a bigger issue.
I agree. If I ask for extra effort, whether it be to help with something for our daughter or an errand or task I'm not able to accomplish on my own, his demeanor immediately changes to make it clear what an inconvenience it is. He will slam doors, stomp through the house, mutter under his breath, and avoid eye contact or speaking to me, sometimes for days.
You need to end this relationship.
Yeah, I would move the fuck on from this. This is, what is he, 12? I'm good.
Let me take that back. You need to sit down and have a conversation about what's going on and why he feels the way he does and see if he actually talks to you. That's first. Hey, I noticed that these are the things that are happening. I feel like you don't like me anymore and I need you to be honest with me. What's going on with us that's making you treat me the way that you treat me because I don't appreciate it and I don't feel like I deserve to be treated this way. Real clear conversation. And if he's like nothing and this is just who he is as a person, you know he's a manipulator. This is a manipulation tactic.
Yep.
You know that he doesn't want to do anything that is not beneficial to him. You can look at the entire past of the relationship to prove that. So you're putting him out and you're making him do shit he doesn't want to do to help you.
And he doesn't actually care about you and your daughter.
Right. I honestly believe that. I truly believe that. I look at this entire situation as he saw somebody that was able to give him what he wants. And now he's working a 3 days a week, 12-hour days. It's still fucking 36-hour shift. So it's not like he's, or 36 hours. It's full-time, technically. So he is working a full-time job. The car's not his. The apartment's not his. He doesn't take care of the house. Like he's got a caretaker.
He's mooching.
He is. I view it that way.
And all of it for free because they're not married.
Right. And he could leave whenever he wants.
Yep.
And if he was to dip out right now, which he would have to give up that free ride for.
Yeah.
Because he still has to work. But if he gave up that free ride and fucking found another woman who had more money that was willing to do more for him, he would absolutely bail. Absolutely fucking bail.
Yep. If I'm scheduled to work and he wants to work overtime, it's up to me to make sure our daughter has childcare.
Your daughter.
Yeah. If you're supposed to watch the children and something comes up and you need to go to work, it is 100% my responsibility to find alternative childcare.
Right, because it's your kids.
Correct.
We call them ours.
We do.
And I love them like they're mine. And I fucking take care of them and I do shit. But those are your responsibilities. I'm not taking them to doctor's appointments and shit. I'm not the parent. He didn't fucking breed with you.
Right.
If you ask me to do those things, hey, we have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Can you drive us? Sure, I got you. Can you take the kids to the doctor appointment? No, I can't. I'm not their parent. We need daycare. Cool.
Right.
Handle that shit. I don't, my transmission needs to be replaced. Okay, I'll take care of it. Like,
Right.
I don't understand why that's even a conversation.
Back to the doctor's appointment thing. I get frustrated when their biological father takes them to the doctor's appointment because then I always text a list of questions. I'm that parent. I 100% am. Like, I'll send a list of questions. Be okay, make sure you ask this, make sure you ask that. And then he gets in there and he tries his best. But nobody will do the things that you know that you will get done, right?
Nobody will ever do anything to the standard that you have set.
Right.
But that's cognitive bias.
Yeah.
It's lived perception. That's normal. You doing that, that's not like I'm that parent. You're being thorough.
Yeah.
If you're not able to be there asking those questions or the questions that you feel need to be asked, sending that list is fucking smart.
Right.
Hey, I need you to read this to the doctor question by question and respond to me so that I know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Because what's important to him and what's important to you and what's important to me are not the same things. Call and put me on speakerphone while you're at the doctor's office. I have questions. That helps too.
Mm-hmm.
I see nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
think that's being thorough.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's actually really fucking smart. But I think a speaker call,
Yeah.
so you can just ask the doctor, would be even better.
Yeah, the direct communication.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're removing the middleman. Were you going somewhere with that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I don't either. You just said on the doctor thing and then went.
Or if there's something going on with his car, I'm expected to give him mine and potentially my income for the night to compensate for the possible lack of childcare or other transportation.
That's because you got a little boy.
Mm-hmm. However, if I have to give up a shift at work in order to allow him to be able to work and it affects my ability to pay a bill, I can't come to him for financial help without him getting angry.
This is not a team. This is just move on.
Yeah.
Find yourself an actual man. Be alone.
Mm-hmm. I would rather be alone than deal with this bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm skipping the last couple of paragraphs because it's just kind of the same shit over and over. This says, P.S. Since I know Chris is going to ask, LOL. No, he doesn't really open my doors, maintain my car, etc. I wouldn't be upset if he did, but it's honestly not something I've ever expected from anyone.
I wouldn't have asked that. You know why I wouldn't have asked that?
Because you can already tell by the quality of character she's painted. We already know. I want to say, so you said, it's honestly not something I've ever expected from anyone. I can tell that you don't expect pretty much anything from anyone by the way that you've been living this relationship with your partner.
I do it all by myself.
Yeah.
And I do.
If he gets to a door first, he will hold it for me, but it's not a conscious or consistent practice.
Hold on. I would like to point out that if he did do all of that gentleman shit and didn't do the other side of things, it would be a manipulation tactic.
I would view it as a manipulation tactic
Yep.
too. Yep. Doing just enough to squeak by.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Would you rather have a gentleman that does that half of things or a gentleman that does the other half of things? Because if you have to split the gentleman duties in terms of actions, would you rather have someone open the car door and make sure you walk on the right side of traffic and do the stair things and do the typical in public gentleman thing? Or would you rather have a gentleman that does the things that are supposed to be done to make the household work?
Make the household work.
Right?
The other things are cosmetic to me.
They're superficial as a motherfucker.
Yeah, those are optionary. I mean, now that you've done them, I do expect them.
I know
Right?
you do. I know you do. And that,
But it's not, why are you?
I was laughing because you said that you stopped in front of a door the other day and waited for somebody else to open it. Because I wasn't
do.
with you and I thought that shit was funny. But
I do, yeah.
I'll think about that now every time somebody mentions the open the door thing. So real quick, it's superficial because if they're not willing to do the real gentleman shit, the protect, provide, and lead, the external gentleman shit is not real. The opening of the door at that point is not so they can scan the room before you walk into it. It's let me open the door for you, my lady.
Let me put on the facade
Right.
that I'm a good dude right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me get out and pump the gas for you, even though you're driving and it's your car. And I'm going to do it while I play on my phone because it gives me time to text message or Snapchat my friends. Mm-hmm. That's not the same thing.
Right.
I learned the other day while we were at the gas station, the day that I actually met you to fill your tank up when I was on the bike. I'm standing out there with my helmet on, still wearing my riding gloves and shit, like pumping your gas, looking around. Mm-hmm. And I realized, because I'm wearing a fucking helmet on my head, how stupid I look pumping gas to a Jeep that my bike was parked behind, right? So for people who couldn't see the bike, I looked real fucking psychotic standing there pumping gas in a helmet. They must have thought I was special. But as I'm sitting there, I'm aware of every head turn because of the weight of the helmet. And I realized that I don't just stand there and pump gas. Like I
scan.
I constantly. And I'm looking at the car, I'm looking through the windows, I'm looking around the vehicle, and like
I do the same thing.
I'm so ingrained with my situational awareness and checking to see what's going on, because when people are on the pump playing on their phone, you're a target. You're completely oblivious. It would be so easy to rob you right now.
Yeah, criminals look for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I was one once. I get that. It's very easy for somebody to roll up, fucking open your car door and steal your purse and just not close your door all the way because you're looking at your phone on the outside of the vehicle. There's noise echoing underneath the awning.
Yeah. traffic going by.
People don't even fucking notice this shit. But I was aware of that whole thing. I also know that when I pump gas and I like stop pumping gas when I'm done, I leave the nozzle in the car for a second. I look around to see what's going on, and then I put the fucking pump back and close the thing. And then I look around again before I actually get in the vehicle. And I noticed that I did all this because of the helmet. Like I was aware because I could
the
feel
movement,
it.
the weight.
And I was like, damn, I didn't realize how like obsessive I was about looking around. So for a man like that to jump out of the car and pump your gas and play on his phone, he's not doing it to keep you safe or to make sure that people are taken care of. It's a fake act. It's you are pretending to be a gentleman. So I don't believe that you can have the front half of that and not have the back half and actually have a protector, provider, or a leader. You have somebody that's love bombing, right? To me, I guess maybe that's probably the wrong term, but to me, that's showing you are an actor.
Catfish.
You are pretending to be here right now. You are not that motherfucker. Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love bombing was definitely not the right term. That was definitely not the right term.
You want to do the update?
Oh, yeah. I forgot there was an update to this. We got to do a thank you after this and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Hi, Chris and Peach. A lot has happened since my last email, some good and some not. Our lives have been extremely busy and full of transitions. Firstly, we were presented with the opportunity to take legal guardianship of my young teenage niece.
So now there's 2 kids.
Yes. My sister, her mother, is an addict and has made multiple life choices, particularly in her revolving door of toxic relationships, that have led to her being an unfit parent. She finally decided to relinquish custody, and we were determined to be the most stable home within the family for my niece.
I wonder how that's going to affect their relationship. Now they've got a live-in babysitter.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I'm wondering, okay, this is my skeptical ass. So I wonder if that was his in for this and why he agreed to allow that to happen.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so the sister's an addict.
Okay.
And they have the ability to take
for her
on
to
a
be a
teenager.
babysitter.
And instead of him being like, we don't need another fucking kid that's just another expense, blah, 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 blah. If he saw that as a live-in babysitter so that he doesn't have to deal with the child at all anymore, and now they have a live-in fucking nanny that's a teenager that can do whatever they need them to do because
it's a win for him.
He's Mr. Manipulator and expects other people to take care of his needs. Okay. That's exactly where my brain went.
I made a point of having numerous private conversations with him to make sure he understood what we would be signing up for and was prepared for the work involved. He assured me that he had already been assuming this would be the course of action when my sister had decided to give up custody and it was first brought to light. It's definitely been a learning experience for all of us and has involved a lot of adjustment for everyone involved, including our 7-year-old daughter.
So the kid's 7 now. All right. So let's also look at now the kid has somebody to play with, right? So they really don't have to, because 6, 7 years old, they absolutely can fucking occupy themselves. He said that I assumed that this was going to be the course of action and that she was going to adopt this kid. He didn't say anything about workloads. Right? I assumed you were going to do this. This is very different than having the discussion of what's going to be involved when it happens. So if she's trying to explain workloads and how this is going to look, and he's like, I kind of already expected this, and they just stopped talking about it, you're not having the same conversation.
Right.
Okay.
Back into the email. My niece and I attend bi-weekly therapy, sometimes together, but mostly individually for her. It's helped us make progress, and I've considered involving my 7-year-old to help her with the struggle of having to share our attention and general space with another child all of a sudden. She was very excited about it in preliminary conversations, but it's been an adjustment for her since she had previously always been an only child. Kids don't understand things. She's 7. She's just now becoming aware of the fact that her actions have fallout. Like 7 years old is when children start to recognize, oh my gosh, I have consciousness. That's when they start to become more self-aware of things. So I think any conversation had with any child under the age of 10 should be had with a grain of salt, knowing that they don't understand what I'm saying right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that age frame, but
yeah.
I think that kids understand a lot. It's why kids start manipulating so young.
I think kids understand to a certain extent. I think manipulation is implemented in children because they want to try to find ways to get what they want when they're told no.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, like, for example, another being moving into the household and shared attention, this is going to be another child. I don't think that 7-year-old really understood what that meant.
No.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't either. Well, yeah, no, I don't either. Maybe kid could be advanced. I don't know.
Yeah.
But good for them for doing the therapy thing if she thinks that's going to help. But to me, I equate that to, obviously it's not a baby. They moved a teenager in there.
Yeah.
But like when kids get siblings, or if you move in with and get married to somebody who has their own and you become a blended family, I would have never thought therapy for that. Like you got a playmate now and like somebody to live with. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe because I was an only child, when my cousin came down, I was fucking stoked.
I think that when it comes to, I don't think therapy should be used for everything.
No.
I listened to, I think it was Jordan B. Peterson talking about taking your children to therapy for every little thing will make them weak.
Well, I agree.
Right?
I agree 100% with that.
So in a situation like this, unless that teenager is coming in and she's actually abusing the 7-year-old, or she's throwing things and cussing and she's dressing inappropriately and she's doing things right, she's disrupting the household. Me personally, I would go to therapy and be, okay, how can I talk to my daughter about this?
Right.
Like, give me the tools, that way I can provide them to my child versus taking them to a stranger and trying to get them to have conversations.
I'm going to go as far as to say that I think that people doing too much for other people will make them weak.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You know, if it was one of those things where you didn't have an understanding of things and you came to me for everything and I had to do everything for you, and that's just who you became as a person, that would be a character flaw. And in the event that I actually died, you wouldn't know how to do shit. Like, yeah, that's a problem. You got to let people fucking go until they fail a few times. And I do it to the kids all the time. When they come in here and be like, I can't, yes you can.
Yeah,
I can't, then you can't do it. If you can't figure it out, you can't play with it. Like,
can't open it, can't eat it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's been a big one with me lately, is opening packages. You can't open that. You're not going to be able to eat it. Well, what if I starve? Hopefully you figure out how to open it.
Yep.
Yeah. What?
I was just thinking about the fact that I had to have a conversation with them about the difference between being hungry and starving.
Yeah.
But
we've tried to make it a point to give both girls individual attention, as well as making sure they feel equally included in family time, holiday celebrations, vacations, and family decisions. My partner has handled it fairly well, seemingly always willing to step up and help fill in any gaps where he is needed.
So what's changed between the last email to this one?
I was just thinking what changed, because
you weren't willing to do it with a 17-year-old, but you're willing to do it with a teenager?
A 7-year-old. But you're willing to do it with a teenager.
Right.
Now that makes me think, like, is he trying to impress the teenager? What the fuck is... That's the only change, is that there's now another woman in the household, or a young woman.
I don't know.
That's the only thing differing. Unless there were secret conversations had that weren't included in the email.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure that there was a lot that's happened between the emails, but
yeah,
the idea of it, you don't have a lot in common with a 6 or a 7-year-old.
Right.
If he's a gamer and the teenager is a gamer, they have gaming in common. There could be a relationship there that is on a different level of understanding. Maybe he doesn't have to repeat himself to the child. Like, it's different. You know what I mean? But
immaturity matches immaturity.
Right. But for them to go from him not willing to do anything and him having an issue every time she asks him for something to now all of a sudden he's just filling in the fucking gaps and being a man. What the fuck changed?
Right.
Something happened if that's the case. Or the other email was just bullshit.
Right.
I wonder how many times people send emails in out of frustration and they're giving us a negativity bias in the moment because they're frustrated with the way things go. And they're hitting us with the definites, you never, you always, everybody. And they play those roles in the email because they're hurting in the moment and they haven't figured out how to articulate themselves. And then now saying that out loud, I wonder how many people redo that, send the email and then fucking regret sending the email when we read it.
I bet a lot. We've received emails where people are like, okay, I need to clarify almost everything that I typed out because that is not what I meant at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't send emails from a place of hurt. Send it from a place of help.
During all this time, I recognized the effort to step up in our relationship in ways that he had not been previously. It genuinely felt like we were making strides to a better place. I've repeatedly brought up check-ins, even reading the questions aloud to him and trying to open that kind of conversation. But he just gets annoyed and says he doesn't get it. I've tried clarifying what it is. He doesn't understand and define things more clearly for him. But at least when it comes to check-ins, the conversation seems to always fizzle out. He usually blows it off by saying something to the effect that he doesn't want to get to a point where he's being critical of me and doesn't see it as constructive.
That's because he's afraid to talk to you.
Yeah.
That means he doesn't trust your ability to handle the situation. You created that monster. You did that to yourself. Mm-hmm. It could be past trauma, right? But as long as they've been together at this point, I'm willing to bet that's not the case. He's afraid to tell you what's really going on because of how you'll respond or how you'll react to the situation, get emotional, scream, yell, whatever, freak out. You've trained that fear. That's not just something that people have. Unless he was madly in love with her and did not want to hurt her, and that was where that was coming from, but that's not how are you going to improve if you can't have the conversations? You're just going to bottle it all up and just stuff it down and never talk to anybody?
Right. Back into the email.
Yeah, but in a second. I wonder if she is doing the check-ins and is being overly critical of him and is shitting on him, and that's why he's getting defensive and it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And it just fizzles out.
It could be.
Because that's an attack. If you're feeling like you're being attacked, you're not going to have a conversation.
Right.
That's the opposite of what the check-ins are supposed to do. You're supposed to be having a loving conversation and be honest with each other and then go, okay, these are the things I need to work on, right? Yeah. These are the things that I need to work on, right? Yeah. Okay. This week we're going to work on those things. Next week, hey, I've been doing these things. How have I been doing? I'm going to do the things. I don't understand how something's not working in the check-ins or something's not been right in the relationship leading up to that he can't talk to you. It's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that the check-ins haven't worked when they've tried.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of the people won't respond or they don't want to do them, but I've never heard anyone say that they don't want to criticize their partner.
Right.
Which makes me believe he feels like he's being criticized when you guys are having these conversations.
It's a very telling way to phrase it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still, something has changed between the last email and this email.
Mm-hmm. He says if he has a problem with something I'm doing, then that is a him problem and something that he needs to deal with on his own rather than voicing it to me. Honestly, that really bothers me because I believe we all have room to grow as human beings. And if there's something I can be doing differently to further our relationship and be a better partner to him, I want that feedback. I get that. I would take it very personally if I was denied the opportunity to grow to be a better wife for you. Yeah.
It's a bullshit statement on his part. That's a me problem and I need to deal with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to make waves. Doesn't want to start fights. Doesn't want to have the hard conversations because it's not worth having.
Yeah.
If nothing's going to change, what's the point in bringing it up? That's what that is.
It does sound like that. In October, we learned that after years of pain and struggle with endometriosis and PCOS, I was finally eligible for a hysterectomy. It was scheduled for early December, and we started making the necessary plans to accommodate my recovery. It would mean a few weeks of tight budgeting and adjustments, but he was very supportive and glad that I would finally be getting relief. In the weeks prior to my surgery, my symptoms escalated to the point I had to go to the hospital a couple of times, and he was always at my side, advocating for me to doctors and offering comfort when I dealt with pain so severe I genuinely began to think I couldn't survive. Our relationship still needed work, but I felt so loved and supported. I believed that we had never been closer and were at least growing in the right direction. We weathered so much and his love never seemed so apparent. Fast forward to about a month ago, and the inevitable but dropped. I woke up to the dreaded, "Hey girly, you don't know me, but I found out about you and had to reach out" messages. For the better part of a year, he had been engaging in sexually explicit conversations with a girl from his past who had been a fuck buddy prior to our relationship. Kudos to her for reaching out and handling the entire thing with as much grace as possible. I won't go into a ton of detail, but the things he said to her were so hurtful and graphic it left me sobbing and shaking. He had expressed willingness to spend money on her OF, and even tried to make plans to sneak away from work to go engage in sexual acts with her. Something in his behavior triggered a red flag for her, and she checked his social media. He doesn't post about me or the kids, or really anything personal, but she dug just beyond the surface and saw that he is listed as in a relationship with me.
She didn't have to dig very hard.
I was about to say, that's like on your About You and your Facebook profile. That's literally just clicking on somebody's name and you see it. People really are not trying hard anymore to invest in who they're opening their legs for.
Well, I mean, she's an OnlyFans creator. It's a whole different conversation in itself, but
My goodness.
I'm curious, because this has been going on for a year, if the change in their relationship came because he was getting attention from an outside source and his love meter was getting filled.
Oh, maybe.
His intimacy meter was being filled because he was flirting and having that new feeling. I also wonder how much of that time that he was missing Monday nights and not being home was so that he could sit at work and fucking flirt with this chick while she was working or doing whatever she was doing, like on the side. And that's where that came in.
She immediately confronted him, and he didn't try to lie or even paint it as an open relationship, which it is not.
I have to pause you one more time. You know that there are people who do OnlyFans that don't post nudity? Did you know that was a thing?
Yeah, I heard that there are some content creators on there who do like artwork and whatnot.
I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, when I learned that, I was like, wow.
Completely changes your perspective.
I mean, it's really just, my mind goes to prostitutes when I think of OnlyFans.
Right?
Really, that's what my mind goes to.
Because that's the narrative.
Yeah.
But we made that joke about you doing like 50s housewives cooking videos for blue collar men who like food. You know, you're dressed. There's nothing fucking inappropriate about that. Like creating an only hams, onlypans.com, right? Like make it a cooking thing. And because I mean, granted, there's people out there with food fetishes, but you're attractive and you're funny, and the 50s things works very well for you. And we were joking about that, and somebody was like, you know, people actually do that. I'm like, no, the fuck they don't. OnlyFans is for showing your pussy. Like,
no, there is, I think in like the top 1% of creators is a hearse.
Excuse me?
A hearse.
Like a car?
Yeah. Somebody created an OnlyFans account for their hearse, and now they're in like the top 1%.
For their car?
For their car, yeah.
I'm going to have to dig into OnlyFans apparently, because now I'm curious.
Okay.
Now I'm curious if we can sell photos of shit to people that has nothing to do with nudity. I will do that. I've wanted to sell my artwork my entire life.
Yeah. It could be like a virtual viewing gallery where people pay for their subscriptions to be able to view our artwork or whatever. Because I would also like to post my photos. I enjoy doing photography.
We could create a photography tier on Patreon.
Could we?
Yeah. Charge between the low tier and the middle tier. I don't know. Just a thought.
Okay.
I really do want to. I think I really do want to buy that other camera, but I don't want to spend the money. Anyways, that's not relevant to the podcast.
I want to start just taking pictures again.
I know. I know with the travel coming though that I'm going to want to buy that camera. I just don't want to spend the money on it right now.
I still need that picture day.
I know.
I mentioned that like 2 weeks ago.
Well, we haven't had time to do it. And I did try that one night. We didn't have time to get to the beach, so.
She immediately confronted him. Oh, I just read that. His responses at that point in the conversation arguably hurt more than the sexually explicit things did.
I'm not in love. I want to leave her. I'm not happy.
I'm with her because of the kids, whatever. I made the choice to leave the house while he was still sleeping and go sit with my best friend while I processed all of the information I had been presented with and tried to work my way through the waves of intense emotions that came with it. I felt betrayed in ways I didn't know how to express, particularly because I had zero inclination it had been happening. He was saying these things and trying very hard to act on them for months, while still coming home and showing me love and support and being there for our kids.
Because your kids.
Right. Well, your child and your niece.
Right. They're not married.
No.
So you're not a bonus dad. You're a boyfriend. He's a boyfriend. You're a girlfriend. That's not his fucking kid.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to point out is that he was absolutely getting his intimacy meter filled and then coming home and acting it out with her because he was getting worked up. This is virtual porn. right? Like he was willing to pay for the OnlyFans as an end to this girl's life, which is what we've talked about over and over and over again with this. This is why men pay for pussy photos on the internet.
Yeah.
Porn is free. You can find that all over the place. So if you're willing to pay for it, it's because you're trying to get something more
Out of the person.
than a quick, splooge. He was absolutely engaging with this woman and getting his intimacy meter filled. And when he realized he couldn't perform with that person, he came home and did it with you. That's what that is.
Yeah. That would destroy me.
That's fucking wild, isn't it?
Fucking destroy me.
Because this could have been corrected in the relationship. And this, let's say, harsh. Let's be real harsh for a minute. Let's say that you've gotten really nasty, right? Like you had health problems, your health problems became gangrenous, like you're nasty. You smell, you've gained a bunch of weight, your attitude sucks, and he's looking for outside sources of attention. He could have come to you and been like, "Hey, you're not taking care of yourself. Your attitude is fucking horrible. I don't enjoy your presence anymore." And could have been really honest and really hurt you, and you would have been hurt all the same. There's not a win for him in this scenario where the hurt is not going to happen. So, damage mitigation, he decided to step out and try to sneak the shit instead of hurting your feelings, hoping that you wouldn't get caught or he wouldn't get caught, right? And then in the event that he found somebody that was willing to do the things that you're doing, he would have stepped out of you altogether. And you would have left you holding the bill for your car, the 2 kids that you have, all of that shit. How is somebody supposed to handle that situation? From the man's perspective in that. Because he's wrong, right? I'm not saying he's not. But in that situation where, let's take it a step back so that I'm not being as harsh. Let's say that she just put on 50 pounds.
Stop washing her hair.
Her girl smells, right? And that's never been a problem, but there's an odor down there now, or discharge or whatever. Grossness, right? And her attitude is fucking horrible. She's always tired. She's ungrateful for everything, bitching and complaining all the time, always on the phone. The epitome of what he wanted in the relationship. And didn't want to have the conversation because of the way the conversations are going, i.e. the check-ins, taking that into consideration. So instead, he starts talking to somebody outside of the relationship because there's not a win over here. And if I can hide this, she'll never know. I'll avoid hurting her in that aspect, and I can just continue to exist in this world that I'm currently comfortable in. How should one navigate that from your standpoint?
If there is no hope of having a conversation and things getting better, I would create an escape plan.
Okay.
I would start getting my ducks in a row. It might be a long haul, right?
Do you think that that's what that was for him?
No.
Why?
Because he was still choosing to come home every day and act like he was in love with her.
Well, he was getting his needs met.
Right, but there was no, what's the exit strategy? You're
The
blowing
woman.
shit up this other woman's skirt about the OnlyFans and I'm not in love anymore and all these other
The
things?
other woman. Because we know that he mooched off her for the first half of their relationship.
Oh, he was waiting for her to offer to be like, hey.
You can come stay with me.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a possibility?
Well, yeah, looking at it from that perspective of a moocher, yeah, that could have been his... I'm gonna throw out that lure and see if a fish bites.
Yeah. Okay. So then we're on the same page on that. Because
that makes sense.
So then how, again, my question still stands, but you brought that up and my brain immediately went to manipulation and getting her to take care of him the way this woman did. So how should he have handled that? Exit strategy. Would you just start saving money to go?
Depending on how safe I feel in the situation, like if I tell this person that I'm getting ready to leave and I'm fearful that they're going to end my life, I'm not saying shit. I'm making secret moves. I am opening a whole new bank account with maybe a separate banking facility. Like I'm not going to go to the bank where
Obviously
we all have shared accounts. I'm going to go to SunTrust or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could still use the same bank.
Yeah.
That wouldn't matter. They wouldn't be able to see that. But
that would be too close to home for me.
Okay.
That would be the beginning of distancing of myself. I would imagine tolerating that kind of behavior for that long. I am a damaged person at that point. So it would be little steps of me distancing myself at first. So getting a separate bank account at a different bank would be the move for me if I'm scared for my life. And being scared for your life is different from, I just don't want them to yell at me. Right?
Right.
Just to lay that out there. Being fearful that somebody is going to end you versus I don't want to deal with them slamming things and yelling and two different things. I would start looking for listings of apartments and houses and start data gathering on how much money I need, how long this could take me. I would start cutting things out like Starbucks. You know, if I'm not watching Hulu, I'm canceling Hulu.
Well, he's never done the house thing.
Right.
Because he lived with somebody else before he moved in with her.
Oh, well, you're asking what I would do. Or
I
how
know,
someone would handle that.
I know, but I'm pointing that out so I don't forget.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna go off when you're done.
Okay. I would let key people in my life know what's going on. Like,
define key people.
So if I have a close relationship with my parents, if I have a close relationship like with a best friend or a sibling, if I have grown children, I'm going to let my grown children know what's going on. Like, and again, this is an extreme situation. If I'm fearful of my life, if I'm not texting you by 10 a.m. every single day, you need to call the cops.
Like, so what if you weren't afraid for your life? Would you still tell those people?
If I was not afraid for my life and I was just tired of everything, I would let very, very key people know, like my best friend Jackie. Like, just so I can get it out of me and into the universe. This is what's going on in my life. I just need somebody to vent to. I'm about to go through some real drastic shit, and if you could be a support, that would be fantastic. I am not fearful for my life. I will have a conversation with that person and say, our relationship is not going where I thought it would be going. And this could be a 4-hour conversation. This could be a 3-day conversation. Depending on how that conversation ends, if it is still apparent to me that that person has no drive to make changes, they are happy being the stagnant water that they are and festering whatever bacteria that they have, I will let them know, okay, I respect that. You can live your life however you choose to live your life. I am going to start working on moving out. And that's it.
Would you worry about telling somebody that and then things like smoothing over and then have created a negativity bias with your people?
No, because at that point there is no smoothing over. I'm done.
Okay. So you're actually done.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it had been years of trying to solve this and they have no motivation, I'm not going to spend 30 years of my life hoping that somebody's going to get their shit together. I'm good. Right. I would lay the boundary firm. I would lay out the consequences if the things are not improved. And then I would adhere to those because I have self-worth and I have a vision of what I want my life to be before I die.
So I said a minute ago I was going to go off when you're done. I'm not going to go off. That was probably really poor terminology. I was going to continue my side of this from if I was him. Young me, if I was him, would have done exactly what he's doing.
Fucked around, came back home.
Right. Because at that point, there's a comfort level there. Mm-hmm. You've enmeshed your life with another person's for a long time. He's never got his own place. He doesn't have his own car. He is kind of trapped in that situation because of the way that he's chose to live. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he doesn't have any type of savings because he's not willing to work enough to do more than just skate by. He would have to take on a second job in order to get enough money to move out, and him taking a second job would disrupt the house. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't be able to do that from a secretive position if he was just going to dip the fuck out.
Right.
And knowing that he is not comfortable in talking to her, having a conversation is not going to give him an outcome. And you can say that that's cowardly all you want, but when people teach you the way that you are going to respond to things, eventually they're not going to want to talk to you. If somebody's always a fucking bitch when you speak to them, you're not going to speak to them anymore because that person's a bitch. If somebody's an asshole every time you talk to them, you're not going to talk to them anymore because they're an asshole, right? Same thing in the relationship. If you have to walk on eggshells and tiptoe around people to make sure that there's comfort in the home and not make things harder than they need to be because that's your comfort level, and you're afraid to have conversations if you want to go that far. Some people could look at it as fear. Some people look at it as it's just not worth doing. Because sometimes the fights just aren't fucking worth having. Nothing's going to change. What's the point? It's a mindset for a lot of fucking people. And then him starting to develop a new relationship with somebody outside of the relationship. I understand what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. Me, who I am now, understanding what I understand is that these situations do not work themselves out. You can't have both. You are going to live like shit for years playing the game that's currently being played, and it's all going to fall apart anyways. Because it will. Mm-hmm. So why not have the hard conversation now, cut that shit short, and go on about your life? there's an understanding that comes from living through things like this to understand that's the way it needs to go.
Right.
That conversation of, hey, I'm not fucking happy right now. Our relationship sucks. I don't know how to fix this, needs to be had. Not stepping out of the relationship, trying to create a new relationship to find somebody to mooch off to go, because right now you're playing both sides against the middle, trying to live a comfortable life, and this shit's going to blow up in your fucking face. It's not going to work. There is no one in the history of man who has had this situation work out in a way that benefits them and they don't get caught and it doesn't disrupt their home life and blow things up. Mm-hmm. You're going to detonate your fucking world one way or the other. You should go ahead and just do it with honor and fucking sever ties. I promise you will be happier on the long term in a shorter amount of time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You have a much greater life long term, and it's going to happen a whole lot faster.
Right.
This could be a 6-month horrible life or a 6-year horrible life.
And it's up to you on whether or not it's going to get dragged out.
Right. And that 6 years is 6 years you can't get back. Have that 6-month discomfort for a whole lot of happiness instead of dragging that shit out and hurting a whole lot of other people involved.
And that 6 months is more than just a physical living situation. Your joints are going to deteriorate. Your spine's going to deteriorate. Your body's going to start to break down. You could be actually living life with somebody who makes you happy versus being miserable and then going, oh my God, my body's falling apart. I can't travel anymore.
Yep.
I've met this amazing person.
You can't get back to missed opportunities. Mm-hmm. When those opportunities are gone, they're gone. Can't get back the time. When the time is fucking gone, it's gone, and you can't take back your words. This is one of those situations where if he's really not happy, he should just fucking bite the bullet and tell her what's going on. Mm-hmm. Let her know how fucking miserable he is, regardless of whether or not it hurts her feelings, because he's going to hurt her one way or another.
Yeah.
People do shit like he's doing because he's trying to look out for him and thinking he's not going to get caught and she'll never know, so she'll be ignorant to it and I can make my moves and then escape. It's not going to work. It never works out that way. So I believe that situation was more about him getting an exit strategy and trying to find somebody to take care of him because he's not man enough to take care of himself.
Right.
And I also believe that he was using that intimacy meter, the refilling of the intimacy meter with this other person and going home and taking it to the woman that he's with because the other woman wouldn't meet up with him and do the things that he was trying to do.
Yeah.
I also believe that the other woman was leading him the fuck on, trying to get him to go to her OnlyFans to treat him like a paycheck. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what that was.
Right.
And then when she really honestly considered it, she then did the work to find out that for the last year, he's been in a relationship with somebody. This entire situation is usury from everyone involved, including the emailer. Mm-hmm. Because she's using him as daycare and to now help fund her life and be there for her when she's going through her medical shit. And you can go, well, that's not usury. That's somebody trying to be there for you. If you need a support system and you need somebody to lean on, you're using someone to lean on. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
You are supporting each other and that's teamwork, but you are by definition using that person as a support system.
Yeah. She kept saying our family throughout all of this. She wants a husband.
Yeah.
And she wants a father. And it's very clear that this man is not it, but she's still using him in that position because it's satiating to a certain extent the needs that she has.
Isn't it crazy how when we have conversations and we really look at words and what they mean, how different we can utilize our speech?
Yeah.
If you guys are watching this episode on YouTube, whenever in May this comes out, the week before this, we did an episode on manipulation, judgment, and porn addiction, the phrase porn addiction. Mm-hmm. And I highly suggest that you go back and watch that. In fact, I think I'm going to have AJ create an I versus you channel, like a playlist, and put all of those conversations into a single playlist.
I think that's a good idea.
So if you're watching this, go back to YouTube and click on I versus you playlist and watch all of those videos because we have some really dope conversations about that. Mm-hmm. Also having those conversations with you and like the way that we listen to the intent of the words being used has changed our conversation in a positive, but it's changed the email reads in a negative.
Yeah.
Because now I'm really picking things apart. Somebody said something on TikTok yesterday, and then we'll wrap this up because we're 2.5 hours in.
Okay. Well, we still have like...
You said you weren't going to read the rest of it because it was... I'll stop then. Go ahead. Because you got... It's almost 1 o'clock. You got an hour, so you got to go pick up the kids.
Okay.
And I still wanted to do a thank you. We can end with this. Just... I'm not saying rush, but go ahead and read the rest of the email.
He had been tired at times, a bit short-tempered, but nothing out of the ordinary for the amount of stress and change we've been going through. I'd been laying in a hospital bed recovering from surgery while he sat there trying to meet up with her. Even now, he wasn't thinking about you when he was doing that.
Nope.
You being in a hospital bed and him texting another woman, it has nothing to do with you. It's about his needs.
Yep. I'm so glad you said that because I was getting ready to chime in. Yep. It had nothing to do with you. You're taking his actions personal like he did it as a fuck you to you, and that's not the case.
Right. He wasn't sitting there going, you know what? She just had surgery. Now she's laid up in a bed. You know what would really hurt her feelings?
Right.
No, he was thinking about how lonely he probably is. How he can never do anything right. This is all assumptions. These are things that I am assuming that he told himself in that moment to make it okay in his eyes to reach out to another woman for whatever need his wife or partner, they're not married, his partner is not providing in the moment.
Right. And we're not saying that it's right. That's not what the argument is, not that he's right for doing it. It's that she needs to understand that this was not about her.
Right.
His actions were about him. This is selfishness.
Yeah.
Okay. And this whole situation has been going on for longer than you've been sick.
Right.
So it didn't start while you were in the hospital. It started way before then, and it just continued this whole time. So this is normal behavior for him.
Yeah. Even now, it feels like such a slap in the face. In some ways, I feel like a failure as a partner because he was clearly trying to fill a void.
That's fair.
Yeah. The surgery and recovery time could not have been avoided, however. And anytime I tried to check in with him and make sure he wasn't getting overwhelmed with the added responsibility during that time, he would always say things are good and not to worry.
She said this was between October and December of last year. It's April.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been a year. And she said that this has been going on for a year. So this has nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, with you having surgery or anything, right?
Okay.
Part of me wanted to make an exit plan for myself and the girls before telling him I knew anything, and in some ways, that may have been the easiest choice. My heart was hurting so much, not just for myself, but also for my girls, who would also experience loss and heartache from this situation, even if spared the unnecessary details.
You are projecting your hurt onto your kids.
Right, I was about to say...
Your kid.
Yeah, your kid and your niece. So now you're focusing on the heartache and everything that the children could be going through. Where was that thought process when you had 3 jobs and a daughter at home and you barely got to see her? What was your daughter witnessing then? That it's okay for a man to stay at home while the mother kills herself to make sure everything is provided for the household. You're also showing her that it's okay to have a lack of boundaries within a relationship and that it's okay to be walked on. Because that's everything that I've gathered from this email, to the lack of him paying bills, to him being shitty about helping with chores, him choosing to make himself busy on the one night a week that you guys could spend together. I would be less concerned about them losing him and more concerned about the long-term damage and the things that they have witnessed, or the young daughter, the 7-year-old, has witnessed. Because now being 7 years old, of course she is still moldable, right? She's still pliable with human experience and whatnot. The formative years of the child's brain developing are some of the most important ones because subconsciously that's how a lot of characteristics develop. So I would really focus on self-worth within the child or the children, and self-esteem and what to expect from a relationship and what to not tolerate within a relationship. The last thing on my mind would be worried about them missing him.
Yeah. I would like to point out that at 7 years old, if they split right now, by the time this chick, the daughter, the 7-year-old is 30, they're not
going to remember him.
Right. A very vague memory. 1 or 2 here and there, like might remember mommy's boyfriend.
Yeah, Craig was around every once in a while.
Right. But there's not going to be any solidified memory there.
Yeah,
however,
I wish he never left.
If this goes on for the next 5 years and that kid becomes 13, 16, whatever, however long you decide to stay, that will then be a part of her childhood. And all of the shit that's going along with this will absolutely fucking be there.
Yeah.
So it would be better for them to have to deal with that little bit of hurt now at 6, 7 years old than at fucking 13 or 10 when they understand why did he leave.
Right.
Because then you have to explain why he left. And you're not going to be honest.
No.
Because at 10 years old they don't need to be dealing with
adult issues.
Right.
This is why it's so important to really figure out who you are investing your time with long-term partner-wise, especially if children are involved.
Yep.
We had been building a whole life together, even looking into buying a home together. All of it felt like an elaborate lie, and I, the fool, for not seeing through it. Hindsight's always 20/20. I mean, I read it perfectly well in the first email you sent.
So did I.
Yeah. It has all been an elaborate lie. This man's been mooching off you since he moved in. All those years ago.
Yep.
After sitting with it for as long as I could stomach, probably 5 or 6 hours, I returned home and told him what I knew. I couldn't stomach the idea of holding up some facade, even in this situation, even to make a graceful exit. I didn't raise my voice or go crazy. I simply informed him that I knew and asked that he let me choose when and what to tell the kids. He made no attempt to excuse his choices or even to apologize.
Because he wasn't sorry for it.
He wasn't, right?
Which I respect that. If he didn't apologize for it, I actually respect him not apologizing way more than I would respect him apologizing for something he's not sorry for.
Right.
Like if there's no remorse there, the apology doesn't mean shit.
It means
so
nothing.
good for him. I can at least respect that. Mm-hmm. I would like to point out though that when he was doing the things that he was doing, he was looking out for him.
Right.
So you leaving and trying to be graceful, why?
Right.
Look out for you.
Mm-hmm. That's what he did.
It's not a fuck you to him. This is me looking out for me right now. Mm-hmm. People get so caught up in that they forget that at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're okay. When you're married and you have a marriage to look out for, that's a different conversation. The marriage needs to be okay. Mm-hmm. But you still need to be okay. You're not okay. This entire situation has not been okay. Fuck that gray shit. I'm out.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where I would have left a screenshot printed on a giant piece of paper with a bye.
Yeah.
And left.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even give him the courtesy of a conversation afterwards. If that's the way I wanted to go, I'm going to go that way.
I would just pack all of his shit and put it outside.
You could do that too.
Take the car key too, because that's in my name.
It is.
Good luck, buddy. Go see if your OF mistress will take you in.
Yep.
Unbeknownst to her, she didn't know she was a mistress. But
she wasn't actually a mistress. He was trying. She was taking advantage and didn't actually fuck him.
Well, what about all the sexually explicit text messages that they were having and whatnot?
Right. He said, I'd be willing to pay for your OF. She was manipulating him to get him to go buy her shit.
Right.
It's no different. He got manipulated the same way that he was manipulating her. Mm-hmm. This shit's come full circle. And she's the one that's getting shit on all the way around.
Right. Even after getting up and going to work, he simply stayed silent. It took days before we had a conversation, and the first few were tense and uncomfortable. Without trying to excuse his choices, he defined them as impulsive and selfish. He said that he hadn't even taken the time to consider the extent of the fallout.
Yep, because he wasn't doing it. It didn't have anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm. When I brought up how it would affect the kids, especially the 7-year-old, for whom this would be a core memory.
It would not.
It wouldn't.
Maybe.
Yeah, at 7 years old.
Maybe.
I remember watching my father leave. What?
We were both sitting there. You said that shit, and I'm like, you right. And I'm like, wait. And you're like, wait. And we.
Right. Well, now I'm thinking, because I remember being 5 years old and standing in the laundry room, looking out the door into the open garage and watching my dad drive away for the last time.
Yeah.
Devastated me. And looking back at 5 years old, that was one of the first instances where I can pinpoint that I felt abandonment. Because back then, my dad was nice to me, right? He was very much a laid back parent, like, I'm not going to discipline, which made my mom be the bad guy, even though she was trying to do the right thing
right.
parent wise. So yeah, for little 5-year-old me, 100% my dad's leaving me because he doesn't like me. 7 years old, I don't know what it would be like for a 7-year-old. I don't remember much being from 7. That's when shit really started getting bad. But
yeah, my childhood, my memories are so scarce. I have a few memories under 5, 2 or 3 of me under 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And I have some from 5 to 8, but from 8 on, I remember a lot.
Yeah.
Because life is just a temporary fleeting thing for you at that age. You're still
having fun and running around and pissing your pants because you don't want to miss anything.
Right. There's a whole lot of life things that happen in that time frame. And watching your dad drive off for the last time is a traumatic thing, but if he just never came home, I don't think that you would have had that same traumatic.
He didn't come home.
Right, but you watched him drive away.
Yeah.
Was there a fight before he did it?
Yes.
Right.
He was moving out. I watched him pack his shit.
Okay, so that's a very different scenario than her
Yeah.
going away for the weekend, dude packing his shit and leaving, and her coming home and him just not being there.
Right.
Because there's nothing traumatic about that.
I would say that's still traumatic because you're coming home and now this person's just gone with no explanation.
Yeah, it's not the same as watching a violent outburst or an
No, it's
aggressive
not.
outburst
I'm
and
not
then
trying to
watching
say
a
it
person
is.
drive away. I think that would get a different outcome than
Yeah.
the situation that I just laid out. But again, I know that my mom and my dad separated when I was young, my real dad. And I know that my mom had a lot of people in and out of her lives, but I don't remember a lot of that. So, I mean, I do it past a certain point, but none of that was traumatic to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't fucking know. Maybe this kid would grow up and be extremely fucked up over all this. I have no idea. I just
Yeah.
don't think it would be the case from my own perspective. I definitely think that she would remember it, but I think that the situation of him staying and this cycle repeating
It would be more damaging.
would be more damaging than her leaving, or
Him leaving.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's been in her life since just before she turned 3, and losing him would be devastating to her. Wrestling with all of this, as well as my own love for this man, led me to offer an opportunity to grow from this. We are tied in a lease until November. I opened the conversation of putting in decisive effort to repair our relationship during that time, including his need for individual therapy. In the event that our agreed upon areas of growth were not met by the deadline, we would go our separate ways.
who decided he needed therapy? You or him?
Right.
Because you forcing somebody to go to therapy isn't going to do shit.
It's not going to do anything.
Because you can go to therapy and sit in silence.
Waste a whole 45 minutes and $180.
You absolutely can. They can't force you to talk. You can go in there and play on your phone the whole time.
Yeah.
You can go sit in the parking lot. So how is this? How's that? Is he saying he wants therapy, or are you saying that he has to go? That's my question on that.
Okay. Initially, he agreed, and in many ways, I see effort on his part. He is still a skeptic about the check-ins, which is still bothering me. I also expressed desire for a formal apology, as well as to change behavior, and that has still not happened.
Damn, you just want somebody to apologize to you.
I was just thinking, I would never ask anybody for an apology.
I would rather have shown remorse.
I would rather
Change
have...
of action.
Yeah.
Is that what you're about to say?
No, I don't remember where I was going with it.
Sorry. You said that you would never ask somebody for an apology? You wouldn't?
I'm just thinking about changed action now.
You wouldn't ask for somebody for an apology, though?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Because you're just doing it because I'm asking for it.
Yeah, that's how I feel, too.
Yeah.
I don't want people to apologize to me. I really don't. Like, even if they've done me dirty, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've already done me dirty. And if you could do me dirty on something big, simply saying I'm sorry doesn't fucking mean shit to me. I need to see the remorse or the change of action.
Right.
If you told on yourself and didn't get caught and came and said some shit like, yo, I did you dirty and this is what I did, that's a different scenario, because then you're showing me that you're guilty.
Right.
You feel that guilt.
He has also not yet shown any effort to seek out therapy. However, he is making more effort in other ways to lead the home, show up as a partner, and show patience with the girls. Still, I think the days of half efforts have to be behind us. It's easy to say and hard to hold to, but I'm trying.
Just trying to make this man change who he is at his foundation.
Yeah. I know that when the time comes, I have to be mindful of the example I'm setting for my children, not thinking only of my love for his potential. Any feedback or advice is welcome.
She just basically said, I love the idea of what he can be.
Right. If you don't love somebody for who they are, don't be with that person.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot more to add to this.
Yeah, I feel like we dissected it a lot.
I think that she has an idea of who this man is, and he's clearly not that man, and she's trying to mold him into being that. And in the event that he caved and did everything she wanted to do, he would still be fucking miserable. And then, knowing that he's miserable, she's always going to have to worry if he's talking to other women because he's not happy.
Right.
I think that matters.
Yeah, that falls into that cycle that I was talking about the other day, where somebody will push what they want so hard on somebody else that they will change who they are, but then become a shell of the person. And the person who pushed for those changes got what they wanted, but now why are you depressed all the time? You're not as happy as you used to be. You don't laugh anymore. Do you not enjoy being around me? You get what you want, but you also lose something else in the process.
Right.
There's a price to pay for everything.
Yep. I have lots of questions that can't be answered, so there's no point in deep diving them. But
Okay.
I definitely think that was a lot. We were way fucking longer than I intended to go by like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I was trying to go for like an hour and a half today. We're 2 hours and 40 minutes in before editing.
Oh, wow.
We normally like to end these on a positive with a thank you email, but we've been sitting here for almost 3 hours and I don't want to sit here anymore. So
Yeah, I want to go bake.
yeah,
Me.
become a baked peach.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else that you would like to add? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I'm pretty exhausted from all of that. My brain hurts. I'm thinking a lot.
I too am tired from that.
Yeah.
That wore me out.
I couldn't live life that way.
I couldn't either.
I've been that person who has fallen in love with the idea of somebody. Right? I was a very insecure and broken person. And I would find somebody physically attractive. And because somebody who I found physically attractive also found me attractive, I would now run wild with they're going to fulfill every need that I have. They're going to be my knight in shining armor. They're not going to have any quirks or any imperfections. They're just going to be everything that I want. And then I would run with that illusion of the person. And then things would start to come up along the way. Like, I'm trying not to think of anything too personal to not call anybody out. Generic thing.
You don't have to give an example if you don't want to.
Yeah. I'm going to pick one from you that other women would get upset about that doesn't bother me because I have come to accept who you are as a person and I love things about you, right?
Okay.
I love everything about you.
Yeah, call me out.
Your clothes on the floor.
Yeah.
Your Mount Everest of clothing.
Have you looked at Mount Everest lately?
You have taken care of it. It's been cleaned up.
It's like a small hill now.
It is. It's a little
it's
tiny.
a pair of basketball shorts, a pair of Dickie shorts,
Yeah.
and my pants.
I've thought about getting a little table in our bedroom and folding all of that for you and leaving it on the table.
It'll end up like the table that sits next to the pile of clothes.
Yeah. But I'm willing to stay on top and clean that for you because I want the room to look a certain way, right? If I wanted the room to look a certain way,
Right.
That would be my solution to it. I would clean up after you because I want it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
That would be the solution, not me nagging you going, I can't believe you've lived your life 40 years this way. You need to fix it to make me happy.
Right.
Because that's who I was. That's who I used to be. Right? I would expect somebody to change the foundation of who they are to accommodate me and make me happy because you love me. Right? It's not illogical for me to ask you to change something you've been doing for decades because you're supposed to love me. And if you're not willing to do that, obviously we have fucking issues in this relationship.
Right. That's the standpoint for most everyone on the internet.
Right. That's literally who I used to be. So I get the mindset. It's a very disgusting one, very self-centered and narcissistic one, if you ask me.
Yep.
Yeah.
You were talking and I had something like I can't interrupt her because she'll forget. And I forgot. I think you guys need to pay attention to who people are.
Yeah.
Really pay attention to who they are. You need to have the conversations, the courting phase questions need to be had. You need to pay attention to people's actions way more than their words, because though people can lie with their actions, it's a lot fucking harder to lie with your actions than your words.
Mm-hmm.
Manipulation, lying, the selfishness. Everyone is selfish. This is why we say all the time that everyone is a narcissist to a degree, because at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're able to exist and that you're okay. And you doing that and being selfish in the moment is a you thing. That cheating aspect is, him not thinking about her and doing it solely for him is a narcissistic trait. He's looking out for him, not considering her because he didn't think he would get caught.
Right.
So
A narcissistic trait in me is that I will drink the last Coke Zero.
yes, you will.
I will also even that out by leaving the last one for you sometimes, so I'm not an asshole all the time. I'll leave a single soda in the fridge to be like, yeah, that's for him. I'm not a piece of shit.
Yeah. I think that in that situation, that doesn't make you a narcissist or have a narcissistic person.
It was just a
trait.
funny moment.
It definitely is.
Trying to be funny at the end of the podcast.
But I do the same shit, except for
I know
I
you
don't
do.
feel guilty doing it. I'm like,
know.
last one, yes. And then I'll look in the fridge or in the closet and be like, oh shit, we're out of soda.
Yeah.
Babe, we're out of soda.
Yeah.
At least I tell you.
I do appreciate that. I I have changed so much as a person that I felt really guilty. We had anthills on the way to the gym, and I used the hose to spray out the anthills, and I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. I have to do this but for the betterment of my family. You guys are invasive. They were red fire ants. I had to. But I still felt bad doing it because I'm destroying their home. And I'd be pissed off if a giant came home and just fucked my shit up.
Well, we could kill them instead. I have ant killer in the garage.
Didn't I drown them?
I mean, you just destroyed their home.
No, I jet on mode on the hose.
Have you ever seen the red floating ant piles after a storm?
Yeah.
You didn't kill them. You just kind of pushed them around and destroyed their home. You fucking home wrecker.
I definitely made sure that it flooded on the inside.
Yeah, you killed them. You destroyed their home.
Yeah, definitely. 45 seconds of just...
Hurricane Peach.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Boiling water would kill them.
Oh, I'd feel so bad.
Would you?
I would.
I'd feel bad if it like splashed and hit my feet.
Oh my gosh. If they started bubbling up out of the hole, just... scorching with the boiling water,
Pour some
monster.
Powder on the pile and let them eat it and destroy the colony.
This is why you're the man of the household.
It's funny. I actually kick those hills over every time I see them out there
you?
as I walk by. Yeah, because if they get
well,
destroyed
you've been
enough,
missing these then.
If they get destroyed enough, they'll move. You know what I mean? Well, did you do that yesterday or the day before?
I did it yesterday, but they've been there for like 3 days.
Well,
our daughter pointed them out.
Don't train on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So I just overstepped them on Monday.
Yeah.
I have no excuse for that one. But I don't walk over there.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday. All right, let's wrap it up.
Okie dokie.
Remember, guys, you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.